Chapter 1130. Master, why are you here this time? Xiaoping looked at the Dark North Saint curiously. Although the Qingkuan sect looks like the sun in the sky now, there are still many enemies in the dark. The Dark North Saint said in a deep voice. And since you've become my disciple, I'm sure many forces have their eyes on you. You might encounter unexpected danger when you're out on a mission this time. If you're killed by someone of the same generation, it only means that you're not skilled enough. But if some old farts disregard their reputation and secretly attack you, I definitely won't tolerate it. At this point he looked at Xiaoping. So, when you're out on a mission this time, I'll give you a talisman. If you encounter any unstoppable danger, you can use it immediately. It's equivalent to an attack from a sage. But there's only one. I hope you use it wisely, because it'll be gone after you use it. Understand? Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, the Dark North Saint waved his hand. What? Instantly, Xiaoping was shocked because a wormhole suddenly appeared in front of him. Immediately, a golden talisman traveled through space and arrived in front of him. The golden talisman floated in mid-air, filled with a chaotic aura. It was extremely mysterious. Although he already knew that sages were unbelievably powerful, this move still gave him a huge shock. It was as if space did not exist for sages. They could open up space and travel through wormholes by themselves. At this level, they could survive freely in the universe without the need to breathe oxygen, and could withstand most of the dangers in the universe. Thank you, Master. Xiaoping immediately recovered and quickly took the talisman. This was a huge trump card. With this talisman, he wouldn't have to worry about being killed by some old monsters. No wonder there were so many benefits to becoming a sage's disciple. With the protection of a sage as a master, it would be difficult to die even if one wanted to. A few days later, Xiaoping boarded the spaceship prepared by the Qingkuan sect and headed to the Blood Soul continent. In these few days, he made a lot of preparations to go to the Blood Soul continent. First, he stored a large amount of food and many weapons in his space ring in case of emergencies. He even put the moon god in his space ring as a trump card. As for the language problem in the Blood Soul continent, Xiaoping wasn't worried, because the Blood Soul continent also used the universal language. Therefore, he didn't have to worry about language problems. Lord Xia. Suddenly, a staff member on the spaceship said to Xiaoping, "We've arrived at the Blood Soul continent. It's just ahead." Xiaoping looked outside. Through the virtual projection, he could clearly see the scene outside the spaceship. Immediately, a boundless land stretched across the universe. It was like an eggshell, enveloped by a huge air shield. There was a huge sun in the distance, and the sunlight shone down, revealing a myriad of colors. Lord Xia. The staff member explained, the Blood Soul continent is a unique continent. The atmosphere above it has a mysterious power that produces a strong gravitational force. Without enough power, spaceships can't escape. That's why the living beings of the Blood Soul continent are basically unable to come out. Of course, the most important problem is that this continent restricts the strength of cultivators to divinity realm at most. Therefore, they do not have the power to break through the restrictions of this continent with their own strength. Xiaoping nodded. Suddenly, he saw that in the distance, in the sky above this continent, huge space battleships had appeared. They were like moons surrounding this continent. What are these things? Xiaoping asked curiously. They are space battleships sent by the major Saint-class sections. They are equipped with star destroyers that have the power to destroy a planet with one shot. There are thousands of them, and they are responsible for monitoring this continent to prevent the natives of the Blood Soul continent from causing trouble. The staff member said in a deep voice. Of course, at the same time, they are also to prevent outsiders from invading this continent. Without the permission of the Saint-class sects, no outsiders are allowed to enter. This is a very strong line of defense. Lord Xia, I've sent them a message, and they have allowed us to pass. However, due to the restrictions of the mission, we can only send you to this place. Xiaoping nodded, indicating that he understood. After that, Lord Xia will enter the Blood Soul continent in a small spaceship. When you come out, you will also be relying on this small spaceship. I hope that Lord Xia will not let this spaceship be damaged, or it will be very difficult for you to come out. The staff member reminded. Of course, Lord Xia is the disciple of the great ancestor. Even if the spaceship is damaged, you can contact us for help. When that happens, we will have people send in spaceships to pick up Lord Xia. At this point, he was very jealous. This was the treatment of the disciples of the sages. If it was an ordinary disciple, no one would care about him or her. Anyway, if the spaceship was damaged, it would be his fault. There was no way to send people to rescue him. They could only die of old age in the Blood Soul continent. Alright, I got it. Xia Ping went to a warehouse of the battleship. There was a small spaceship that had been prepared for him. This small spaceship was prepared by the Qingkuan sect. It was a means of transportation to enter the Blood Soul continent. However, this small spaceship only had the function of transportation. It did not have any attack or defense system. Even so, this small spaceship was very valuable in the universe. Let's go to the Blood Soul continent. Xia Ping boarded the small spaceship and immediately issued an order to the spaceship system. Whoosh! Immediately, the spaceship left the space battleship and flew toward the Blood Soul continent. At the same time, it also activated the optical camouflage system, changing the appearance of the entire spaceship. It turned into a meteor and instantly entered the Blood Soul continent. Just as Xia Ping entered the Blood Soul continent, many space battleships in the distant sky above the Blood Soul continent seemed to have received this signal and learned of the news. There is actually someone who dares to enter the Blood Soul continent? Is he looking to die? He doesn't know that there is a 99% death rate in there. Is this kid crazy? He is not crazy. He is Dark North Saint's personal disciple Xia Ping. It is the young man who has caused a lot of commotion recently. I didn't expect him to dare to enter the Blood Soul continent. I can only say that he is the disciple of the sage. Dark North Saint might have given him some treasures. He is not afraid of the living beings in the Blood Soul continent at all. Naturally, he can live like a fish in water. Damn it. It is good to have a good master. He can do whatever he wants in such a dangerous place. You can't be jealous. It is your fault that you are not talented. Everyone discussed. They all knew that Xia Ping, a disciple of the sage of the Qingkuan sect, had entered the Blood Soul continent. Chapter 1131. In the depths of the universe, inside a blood-colored planet, there was a huge and majestic palace. At this moment, there was a 10-meter-tall middle-aged man sitting on the throne in the palace. Beside him was a blood-red saber that was dozens of meters long. As he stood on the ground, he immediately gave off a violent bloody aura. It was as if the entire palace had turned into a blood-red hell, with countless evil spirits wailing in agony. There were 3 scars on his face, making him look extremely hideous. He also had a broken right arm. It was as if this body had experienced countless life and death battles, and was weathered by wind and frost. If there were any almighty beings in the outside world who saw this middle-aged man, they would definitely be scared half to death. This was because this was the famous Mad Slaughter Saint in the universe, a saint-level expert. Legend has it that he was bloodthirsty and crazy. He once used a bad mood as an excuse to slaughter 3 planets, killing hundreds of billions of living beings, leaving nothing behind. That was why he was known as Mad Slaughter. He was revered by countless races like a god of death. However, due to some unforeseen event, he had disappeared for a long time, and many people had almost forgotten about his reputation. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, 6 or 7 uninvited guests suddenly appeared in the palace. They all came to the blood-colored palace. These people came in all shapes and sizes. Some had fierce faces, some were bald, some were nuns, some had only one arm, and some had only one eye. In short, they did not look like good people. They were the infamous assassins in the universe, known as the 7 Kills Gang. They were all experts at the divine power realm. Lord. However, these people did not dare to be arrogant in front of the Mad Slaughter Saint. They did not even dare to breathe loudly, because the person in front of them was a saint. He could kill them dozens of times with just a breath. Do you know why I called you here? The Mad Slaughter Saint asked. I don't know, but as long as you tell us, we are willing to die. The 7 Kills gang were all extremely obedient, not daring to show their usual arrogant expression. They were also scared to death, because they did not come to this place willingly. Suddenly, they were drinking in a tavern, but in the next second, they were captured and brought to this damned place without any ability to fight back. Not bad, a wise man submits to circumstances. Mad Slaughter Saint was very satisfied. I don't want to beat around the bush with you. I've heard of the reputation of your 7 Kills gang before. You're a famous assassin. Since your debut, you've killed countless people. Your mission completion rate is 100%. So, I personally came to find you. I want you to kill someone. Hearing this, the faces of the 7 Kills gang turned green. Reputation was harmful. If not for their reputation, how could they have been targeted by this famous mad butcher saint? Now, they had fallen into the hands of this saint who was many times more ferocious than them. They did not know what would happen to them. Who do you want to kill? The 7 Kills gang and the others asked. They did not ask why Saint Kwang Tu did not personally kill the other party with his strength. Since Saint Kwang Tu did not make a move, there was naturally a reason that he did not want to say. That was why the Mad Slaughter Saint found small characters like them. It was foolish to ask these questions. They were also afraid of angering the Mad Slaughter Saint, so they were straightforward. Perhaps you have also heard of his name, Xiaoping. Mad Slaughter Saint said indifferently. Xiaoping. Hearing this, one of them was shocked. Could it be the disciple of the Dark North Saint Xiaoping, who has caused a lot of commotion recently? Does Lord want to kill him? But he's not just an ordinary disciple. They all looked at Mad Slaughter Saint strangely. Yes, that kid is an ordinary disciple, and he has no enmity with me. But the mistake is that he is the disciple of the Dark North Saint. Mad Slaughter Saint snorted coldly, his eyes revealing a terrifying cold light, as if it could pierce through the void, causing the 7 Kills gang to shiver. It was as if they were in the abyss of hell, and they could take their lives at any time. Back then, the Dark North Saint came to find trouble with me for no reason. After fighting with him for 300 rounds, he cut off my right arm, and I have not been able to recover it until now. He touched his empty right arm, his hatred overflowing. For a saint, regrowing a severed arm was a trivial matter, but the right arm that was cut off by the Dark North Saint could not be recovered no matter what he did. There seemed to be a mysterious and tyrannical force preventing the cells in his body from regenerating. As a swordsman, the right hand was his strongest part, and he had cultivated for many years. But now that it was cut off by the Dark North Saint, it was equivalent to crippling a part of his strength. For a saint, this was simply a great humiliation. In that battle, if he had not escaped quickly, he would have been killed by the Dark North Saint. One could imagine that his hatred for the Dark North Saint could not be washed away by the water of the 3 rivers. But in terms of strength, Mad Slaughter Saint was not a match for the Dark North Saint before. Not to mention that he had lost an arm, so he was even less of a match. Therefore, he had no hope of revenge in this life. Therefore, he wanted to take revenge on the children and grandchildren of the Dark North Saint, and even those related to him. The problem was that the Dark North Saint had lived for too long. His relatives were basically all dead, and he was alone. Even if there was still the Qianquan sect, no matter how many disciples of the Qianquan sect died, the Dark North Saint would probably not feel heartache. Mad Slaughter Saint had never been able to find a chance to take revenge. Who would have thought that Xiaoping would suddenly appear out of nowhere and become the last disciple of the Dark North Saint? This made the Mad Slaughter Saint overjoyed, and thus he made Xiaoping his target. Even if he couldn't kill the Dark North Saint, he had to let the Dark North Saint experience the pain of losing his son. He had to let this last disciple of his die in his hands, and make this old bastard Dark North sad for the rest of his life. I have already set up a restriction on your bodies. Thinking of this, the Mad Slaughter Saint's gaze fell on the 7 of them, and said, Don't even think about escaping. If you dare to escape, or if you don't complete the mission, it will immediately explode. Either that Xiaoping dies or you die. Of course, if you can complete the mission, you will be able to obtain benefits, great benefits. He gave them a sweet date after hitting them with a stick. The faces of the 7 of them were ashen. They knew that they couldn't escape the palms of the mad slaughter saint. Alright, but where is that Xia Ping? If he is at the headquarters of the Qingkuan sect, we won't be able to enter and kill him. The 7 of them asked, indicating that if Xia Ping stayed in the Qingkuan sect, they wouldn't be able to find an opportunity to assassinate him. Don't worry, I've already received news that Xia Ping has already left the Qingkuan sect and went out to complete a mission. This is a great opportunity, the mad slaughter saint sneered. Without the protection of old bastard Dark North, he's dead for sure. Where is he? Blood Soul Continent. What? Chapter 1132. Swoosh. The small spaceship dashed towards the Blood Soul mainland. At that moment, the spaceship activated its optical camouflage system to disguise itself as a meteorite and moved quickly towards the Blood Soul mainland. The reason being that the Blood Soul mainland seemed to be hostile towards people from the universe and was extremely xenophobic. Once they knew that there were foreign invaders, they would definitely come out in full force. Therefore, the appearance of the spaceship had to be disguised. Otherwise, it would definitely be surrounded by the natives of the Blood Soul mainland. By then, it would be impossible to escape even if it wanted to. What a strong pressure! Xia Ping immediately felt a strong tremor after the spaceship entered the atmosphere of the continent. It was as if there was a terrifying pressure coming from all directions, almost crushing the spaceship into an iron ball. If the spaceship was not made of special materials that could withstand the strong pressure, it would have been crushed into a piece of paper by the pressure of the atmosphere. Ordinary meteorites that entered the continent would be destroyed quickly, turning into a ray of light and falling to the ground. Oh no, the spaceship is out of control. All of a sudden, Xia Ping felt that the spaceship seemed to be unable to withstand the surface gravity of the Blood Soul mainland and was falling towards the ground at a crazy speed. Even the system could not control it. Boom! Like a meteorite, it plummeted at an unimaginable speed. Xia Ping had no choice but to resign himself to fate. He hoped that the natives of the Blood Soul mainland would not notice him. Otherwise, there would definitely be a tragic fight. On an open space in the depths of a primeval forest in the Blood Soul mainland, a lady in white was lying on the ground. Her entire body was covered in blood, and she was panting heavily. Her face was pale, and it was obvious that she had suffered a serious injury. She could not even move a single step. In front of her, 7 or 8 men in black robes appeared. They surrounded the woman in white in an instant, so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. There was no gap for her to escape. These people were a little different from ordinary humans. There seemed to be unique mysterious golden patterns on their foreheads that seemed to contain a mysterious power. The surrounding air was affected and distorted. If Xia Ping was here, he would definitely know that they were the natives of the Blood Soul mainland. They were from the Soul clan. Lu Rulan, I'd like to see where else you can escape to. Surrender now. That's right. You've suffered a blow from the Hall Master of the Huaining City branch. There's no way for you to escape. If you still dare to resist stubbornly, don't blame us for continuing to destroy you. These black-robed men stared at the white-robed woman with ferocious expressions. Their killing intent was boiling. Bao Mingyuan, if that despicable bastard had not harmed my Lu family, how could you have done anything to me? The lady in white, Lu Rulan, gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with rage and dissatisfaction. Yes, you're right. As the former Soul Palace Saintess, your status is high above. People like us are simply ants, and you don't even put us in your eyes. The leader of these men in black, Bao Mingyuan, laughed wickedly. The Lu family used to be a big family in Huaining City. It was powerful and had many experts. No one dared to provoke it. But now it's gone. The entire Lu family has been exterminated. Only you, the surviving member of the Lu family, are still alive. However, you can't blame others for this. Who asked your Lu family to be so stupid? You actually dared to collude with the Outer Realm fiend devils. This is a great crime that warrants the death of your entire family. If you don't die, who will? He looked down at the white-robed woman, Lu Rulan. You know exactly what the truth is. If you want to blame someone, you can always find a pretext. Lu Rulan clenched her teeth. Her beautiful eyes showed a hint of anger. This is just that old dog slander. Thinking to this point, She was incomparably furious. Just this groundless accusation was enough for the secondary palace master to uproot the entire Lu family. Not a single person was spared. Even her family members were killed. She was only barely able to escape from Huaining City under the desperate escort of her guards. However, she did not expect the other party to pursue her relentlessly. After 3 days and 3 nights, they still caught up to her here. One could imagine how cruel the other party was. They were determined to kill everyone and not leave any trouble behind. It doesn't matter if it's slander or not. What's important is that the Lu family has been exterminated. Lady Lu, you will also become a prisoner, and that's Sir's exclusive property. That's right. That's what happens to those who disobey the secondary palace master. No one will have a good life. But don't worry. Lady Lu has a heavenly soul body. She has extraordinary talent and is an outstanding beauty. The secondary palace master ordered us to capture you alive, so you won't die. However, you'll be the secondary palace master's woman from now on. Bao Mingyuan and the rest looked at Lu Rulan greedily like wolves. It must be said that Lu Rulan was indeed an outstanding beauty. Even though she was in a sorry state, it could not hide her unparalleled beauty. Her entire body was emitting a holy light. Her torn clothes revealed her fair skin. Her impressive figure was faintly discernible. Her 2 long legs were lying on the ground powerlessly. She had no power to resist at all. In addition to her sacred and inviolable noble temperament, they could only look down on her in the past. However, she was now a prisoner. The contrast between the 2 temperaments was simply tempting. It made people want to give her to Rulan. Perhaps there were not many men in this world who could resist her charm. If not for the secondary palace master of Huaining City, they might not have been able to control Yuan. They would have wanted to press this saintess, who was once high and mighty, onto the ground and enjoy her. After all, Lu Rulan was not just an outstanding beauty. She also had a heavenly soul body. It was said that if a powerhouse were to undergo dual cultivation with her, their soul power would continuously increase. A genius like that was hard to come by even in 1,000 years. Therefore, the secondary palace master coveted her. He did not want Lu Rulan to die just like that. He wanted her to become his exclusive property. Lady Lu, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Come back to Huaining City with us. Bao Mingyuan and the rest went forward and wanted to capture Lu Rulan. Even if I die, I won't let you guys get what you want. Lu Rulan's beautiful eyes were filled with determination. With a swoosh, she immediately pulled out a sharp dagger and was about to slash it across her fair neck. Oh no! Bao Mingyuan and the rest had a drastic change in expression. If Lu Rulan were to die here, they might not be able to complete the mission given by the secondary palace master. All of them would be severely punished, and their lives would be worse than death. However, at that moment, a giant meteorite fell from the sky at an extremely fast speed, tearing through the sky. Dong! The meteorite landed on the ground and created a deep pit with a diameter of a few kilometers. It almost flattened the surroundings, and a terrifying force spread in all directions. What? Bao Mingyuan and the rest were shocked. They could not withstand the force and were sent flying. They spun a few times in the air before crashing hard on the ground. Chapter 1133. What's that? Soon, Bao Mingyuan and the others came to their senses and quickly stood up from the ground. They immediately saw a huge, strange object in the deep pit in the distance. It looked like a ball, and its entire body was made of metal. Under the illumination of the sun, it gave off a dazzling radiance and looked extremely strange. I don't know. I've never seen such a thing before. This thing fell from the sky. Could it be a meteorite? If it's a meteorite, we'll be rich. It's said that there's meteorite iron in it, which is extremely precious and priceless. Some people once got a small piece of meteorite and became rich overnight. Now that there's such a big piece, I wonder how much it'll be worth. Bullshit. If a meteorite wants to enter our blood-soul mainland, it will be crushed into pieces. It can't be this big. If I'm not wrong, this should be a means of transportation for the extraterrestrial demons. It's called a spaceship. What? This is a means of transportation for the extraterrestrial demons. Suddenly, Bao Mingyuan and the others were shocked and stared at the strange, huge metal object. Even Lu Rulan did not want to die at the moment. She was also staring at the metal object. Because to the aborigines of the Blood Soul mainland, the extraterrestrial demons were synonymous with terror. Since ancient times, the extraterrestrial demons had invaded the Blood Soul mainland countless times and caused great massacres. They also fought against them and paid a heavy price. But in the end, they won and drove the extraterrestrial demons out. Even so, the extraterrestrial demons would descend from the extraterrestrial demons from time to time. Every time they descended, they would cause great massacres and countless ordinary people were killed or injured. But in recent years, the number of extraterrestrial demons descending had decreased. Moreover, the Blood Soul mainland was extremely vast. Even if they really descended, they might not come near Huaining City. Therefore, they had never seen a real extraterrestrial demon before. Suddenly they were a little nervous. Crack. At that moment, the metal sphere suddenly split open, and a small hole appeared on its surface. Then a figure emerged from the hole and walked out. The figure walked out and waved his hand. With a whoosh, the metal ball disappeared just like that, leaving only a huge pit on the ground. Oh my God, it's really an extraterrestrial demon. But it seems like there aren't many of them. There's only one. This is our luck. The extraterritorial demons are our enemies. If we can kill one, Soul Palace will give us a great reward. Back then, Huaining City's palace master killed an extraterritorial demon to become a branch palace master. It was a meteoric rise. If we can kill that outworld fiend, we'll be able to enjoy a lifetime of glory and splendor. When Bao Mingyuan and the rest saw this figure, their eyes turned red, and they exuded a murderous intent. Compared to Lu Rulan, killing the extraterrestrial demons was more important. After all, capturing Lu Rulan would only gain the favor of Huaining City's sub-palace master. However, if he killed an outer realm evil devil, he would gain the favor of Soul Palace's main palace master, and the rewards would be incomparable. Moreover, Lu Rulan could no longer escape, so they were not worried about where she could run to. These are the real extraterrestrial fiends? Lu Rulan's gaze was very complicated. The Lu family had been annihilated because of the extraterritorial fiends. Although it was a baseless accusation, she still did not know how to deal with the appearance of the extraterritorial fiends. However, she felt that it was very strange. The outer realm evil devil did not seem to have a dense demonic aura like in the legends. Apart from looking a little different from them, there was not much difference. The figure was none other than Xia Ping. Have we arrived at the Blood Soul mainland? Not bad. Fortunately, we landed in a desolate forest. If we had landed in a native city, it would have been a little troublesome. Xia Ping looked around and immediately got out of the spaceship. Then, he put the spaceship into his spatial ring and looked around. He immediately saw that there seemed to be quite a number of people around him. These should be the natives of the Blood Soul mainland, right? I didn't expect to see natives here. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Through the Qianquan sect's intelligence, he knew that the Blood Soul mainland was very unfriendly to people from the extraterritorial fiends. Once they met, they would basically fight to the death. There was no reason for them to compromise. No matter what, people from the universe were basically invaders. It was just like how the white people had invaded the North American continent back then. They had slaughtered more than half of the Indians. There was no way they would have a good impression of them. He could sense that the power of these people was not simple. They were at least at the Purple Mansion realm. The leader even had the cultivation of the fulfillment realm. He was not an ordinary person. He reckoned that he would be considered an incredible expert in the Blood Soul mainland. Kill. Suddenly, Bao Mingyuan and the others looked at each other. They could see each other's killing intent. They took advantage of the fact that the extraterritorial fiend had just landed and was still very careless. They immediately killed it. Secret skill, spiritual shock wave. They formed a seal with their hands, and the patterns on their foreheads lit up. Immediately, a strong spiritual energy exploded from their bodies, exploding with their bodies as the center. The spiritual energy of these 7 or 8 people actually fused together and blended with each other. Their strength multiplied. and a terrifying wave blasted towards Xiaoping. This was the spiritual secret skill of the natives of the Blood Soul mainland. Many martial artists in the universe had come to the Blood Soul mainland because they could not withstand such a spiritual secret skill. They were instantly killed, and their souls were shattered. Obviously, they wanted to kill this extraterritorial fiend in an instant to avoid trouble. Moreover, Bao Mingyuan and the others were also very confident in themselves. They sensed that this extraterritorial fiend did not seem to be so strong that they could not be defeated. Even if they could not kill the other party, they could severely injure this extraterritorial fiend. Such a strong spiritual attack. Xiaoping immediately sensed that these natives of the Blood Soul mainland were going to kill him. Their spiritual waves were like waves crashing over, full of destructive power. He had never seen such spiritual power in his life. Even among the many races in the universe, there were not many who could compete with the soul race in terms of spiritual power. Martial artists of the same level would probably die if they were to encounter such a spiritual attack. Moreover, the speed of the spiritual attack was extremely fast. It was invisible and colorless, and it was impossible to dodge. Dong! In the blink of an eye, Bao Mingyuan and the others' attacks blasted over and bombarded Xiaoping's body. Impossible! Bao Mingyuan and the others thought that they would be able to see the extraterritorial fiend bleeding from the 7 orifices. But now, they saw that he was unscathed and as firm as a rock. Chapter 1134. Why is this happening? The extraterrestrial demon is completely fine. This is ridiculous. It's impossible. This must be an illusion. That's right. If we join forces, even a cultivator in the divinity realm would be affected. But he's completely fine. How is this possible? He's definitely playing dumb. Bao Mingyuan and the others were scared out of their wits. Earlier, they had thought that their attacks would be able to deal a great deal of damage to the Outworld Fiend Demon. Unexpectedly, the Outworld Fiend Demon was completely unscathed. In fact, it even had a blank look on its face, not knowing what was happening. This kind of expression was a huge blow to them. Therefore, they were unwilling to accept this reality and thought that they might be hallucinating. After all, in the Blood Soul mainland, illusion was also an extremely powerful force. A true spirit master could make people fall into an invisible and colorless illusion and die in their dreams. This, Lu Rulan, who was far away, was also shocked. She was also considered a peerless genius. Of course, she knew that the extraterrestrial demon in front of her was completely fine. It was terrifying that he was unscathed after suffering such a huge spiritual attack. Even the Lord of Huaining City would not be unscathed after suffering such an attack. After all, Bao Mingyuan and the others were considered experts in Huaining City. The destructive power of these experts working together was simply unimaginable. They could kill a large number of people in an instant. Moreover, they had also formed a spiritual array between them, fusing their spiritual energies together. Thus, the resulting power was many times stronger than if they were alone. It could only be said that the legendary extraterrestrial demon was indeed more terrifying than the rumors. It was simply unimaginable. It's indeed a good spiritual attack. Xiaoping nodded. Although the opponent's spiritual attack was something he had never seen before, it was nothing compared to the pressure brought by the Qiankuan wall. Putting aside the fact that his soul was suppressed by the World Tree, his soul power alone was more than 100 times stronger than ordinary warriors. It was not something that these natives could shake. Therefore, to him, these mental attacks were no different from a gentle breeze blowing on his face. Go kill this extraterrestrial demon. Go kill this extraterrestrial demon. Secret spiritual skill, scorching sky burning flames. Bao Mingyuan and the others roared. They once again used their most powerful psychic secret arts. This time, their faces were flushed red as they activated the most powerful psychic energy in their bodies. Their mental powers fused together, and there was almost a qualitative improvement. Terrifying mental waves immediately enveloped Xiaoping's body, spreading out for several miles. In this area, the air produced a strange fluctuation, as though it had distorted into a unique spiritual space. Is this an illusion? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He immediately sensed that these spiritual waves were enveloping him. It was as if his body was surrounded by terrifying flames, and he had nowhere to run. His skin also felt hot, as if he was about to be incinerated by the flames. Even a fulfillment realm cultivator wouldn't be able to escape from these flames. They would be burned alive. Although this was only an illusion, it was incomparably real. It really felt like his body was being burned by flames. This was the terrifying part of spiritual illusions. They could directly place one's body in flames, giving one the illusion that one's body was being burned. When your soul feels that you are being burned by fire, then you are really being burned by fire. When your soul thinks that you are already dead, then you are really dead. This was a sure-kill psychic secret art of the soul race. However, this was useless to Xiaoping. He possessed the golden crow of hell's bloodline, so fire energy was just a great supplement to him. Moreover, these spiritual waves were like ants trying to shake a tree to Xiaoping, who possessed such powerful soul energy. He could clearly sense that this was just an illusion. Break! Xiaoping stood where he was and shouted angrily, using the 8 heavenly dragons' music. Dong! In an instant, a terrifying sound wave was produced with Xiaoping's body as the center. It was like the roar of a heavenly dragon, containing the might of a dragon and powerful spiritual waves. So scary! Lu Rulan, who was far away, widened her beautiful eyes. She felt that a mere roar made her feel like she was facing an unparalleled heavenly dragon, and she was just a lowly ant. Under this roar, she could only prostrate herself on the ground in submission. If even Lu Rulan felt this way, Bao Mingyuan and the others, who were directly facing this attack, felt like they were about to explode. Their spiritual attacks were instantly torn apart like paper. This kind of spiritual backlash caused them to be severely injured. Even the sound wave, which had solidified, caused the air to solidify, producing a shockwave that could be seen with the naked eye. The shockwave hit the 8 of them directly. Pfft! Immediately, they could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Their internal organs were severely injured. 3 or 4 weaker ones exploded on the spot. They were torn apart and turned into a pile of minced meat. This is bad. This extraterrestrial devil is too scary. We have to run. Report to the Hall Master immediately. A terrifyingly powerful extraterrestrial devil has descended. We have to inform the Hall Master. Otherwise, this will be a catastrophe. A catastrophe? Bao Mingyuan and the other 3's expressions changed. They could clearly feel how terrifying this extraterrestrial devil was. It was many times scarier than the legends said. With just one touch, they had completely collapsed. They did not even have the strength to resist one move from the other party. If they continued to fight, they would definitely die. As for killing this extraterrestrial devil and gaining merit, they immediately gave up on the idea. Now their only thought was to run for their lives. They had to run back to Huining City and report to the city master and the hall master. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. They ran away quickly. They did not even care about Lu Rulan, who was on the ground. To these people, Lu Rulan would definitely die, facing this terrifying extraterrestrial devil. She would be torn into pieces by this extraterrestrial devil. There was no way she could survive. Trying to run? You can't. It was impossible for Xiaoping to let these enemies escape. If they escaped, they would bring a large number of enemies with them. After killing the young ones, the old ones would come. He did not know how much trouble it would cause him. Hence, he had to kill all of them. He stood on the spot without even moving. He flicked his finger lightly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, 3 or 4 solidified flame forces flew out like lasers. Bao Mingyuan and the others had just escaped a few hundred meters away when their bodies were hit. In the next second, their bodies were torn apart, and they were even surrounded by a ball of red flames. Chapter 1135. Their bodies are so fragile. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He sensed that while the soul race members had terrifying mental strength and could kill without leaving a trace, their bodies seemed to be weaker than regular warriors. His attack just now was not very powerful. It was just a small test, but these people were killed instantly. Their bodies exploded on the spot, as if they were porcelain vases. Perhaps this was the weakness of the soul race. Their mental strength was strong, but their bodies were weak. They were good at long-range attacks and group battles, just like sorcerers. But their soul energy is indeed stronger than regular people. Xiaoping instinctively activated the ability to devour souls, and devoured the soul energy of the 7 or 8 dead natives. Immediately, he felt his consciousness increase and become stronger than before. This was equivalent to absorbing the soul energy of 20 to 30 humans of the same realm. One could say that the soul race members were indeed gifted. Their souls were naturally stronger than other living beings. Too strong. Lu Rulan, who was far away, was dumbfounded when she saw this. She could tell that the extraterritorial devil's martial arts realm was at the fulfillment realm, which was similar to her before she was injured. However, when faced with 7 or 8 experts of the same realm, he killed them like he was chopping vegetables. He was extremely brutal. She thought that even if she was at her peak, she would have to pay a heavy price to kill these 7 or 8 experts. One could imagine how terrifying the extraterritorial devil was. She could only say that he was indeed an evil devil. He was extremely terrifying. No, I can't stay here. I have to escape. Lu Rulan wanted to escape immediately and leave this dangerous place. She still wanted revenge, so she could not die here for no reason. Whoosh! However, just as she was about to move, Xiaoping's body flashed and appeared next to Lu Rulan, blocking her way. Lu Rulan's heart shuddered. She felt that she was in trouble. She immediately felt hopeless and wanted to close her eyes and wait for death. She wanted to wait for this evil devil to kill her. She did not expect to die at the hands of an evil devil instead of those assassins. She was unwilling. Girl, what's your name? Xiaoping looked down and asked. What? Lu Rulan lifted her head and was shocked. Not only did this evil spirit not kill her, it even asked for her name. Was this still the cruel and evil spirit that had killed countless people? No, that's not right. This is definitely a trap. There must be some kind of plot against me. But this way, I might have some time to breathe. She replied. I'm Lu Rulan. Good name. From now on, you are my slave. If I tell you to go east, you cannot go west. If I tell you to walk a dog, you cannot walk a horse. Do you understand? Xiaoping immediately announced this decision. Slave. When Lu Rulan heard this, she immediately felt a sense of hopelessness. As expected of an extraterrestrial devil, he was up to no good. This bastard did not want to kill her. Instead, he wanted to use this opportunity to torture and humiliate her. The means of the demons were more terrifying than he had imagined. Sometimes living was more painful than dying. She had heard of the fates of many of her sisters who had fallen into the hands of evil spirits. She was afraid that they would use all kinds of evil methods to turn her into a real woman. If this was a normal situation, she would rather die than fall into the hands of an evil spirit and suffer such humiliation. However, she had a blood feud on her back. She also had to avenge her father, mother, and friends. Therefore, she could not die now. Even if she were to suffer the most terrifying humiliation in this world, she could not die. Thinking of this, Lu Rulan's determination became firm. She seemed to be unafraid of death. Yes, master. Lu Rulan gave in. Her face was red. Although it was to bear the humiliation, as a saintess, she still found it hard to accept becoming an evil spirit's slave. She had tried her best to say these words. She was so ashamed that she wanted to die. Since when had a saintess fallen to such a state? She could only submit to an evil spirit. Who were those people who were chasing you just now? Xiaoping asked. They're from Huining City's Soul Palace. Hearing this, Lu Rulan gritted her teeth. She was filled with hatred. She recalled the scene of Lu family being destroyed by the Soul Palace, as well as the pain her family suffered before they died. Soul Palace. Xiaoping learned from the Heaven and Earth sect that there was no country in the entire Blood Soul land. Instead, it was divided into huge cities. Each super city governed several smaller cities and countless villages. In reality, a super city could also be considered a country. However, it did not have a country's name. The city master was the highest ruler of the region. However, the organization that stood at the top of countless super cities was the Soul Palace. The Soul Palace's sphere of influence covered every corner of the Blood Soul land. Its branches were located in every super city. It was considered the city's super organization and was detached from the outside world. The greatest enemy of the universe's martial artists was undoubtedly the Soul Palace. Every operation to annihilate the universe's martial artists was initiated by the Soul Palace. As for Huaining City, it could be the super city in this region. Why were they chasing you? Xiaoping looked at Lu Rulan. He wanted to know the reason. Because my Lu family found a soul stone mine, Lu Rulan said in a deep voice. Lu Rulan said in a low voice. She did not want to continue hiding the truth of the Lu family's annihilation. Soul stone mine? Xiaoping was shocked. He knew that soul stones were a special mineral in the Blood Soul land. Only such a special land could produce such a mysterious stone. However, it was not easy to obtain soul stones even in the Blood Soul land. Soul stones were considered as precious treasures like diamonds and gold in this place. If one could find a soul stone mine that produced a lot of soul stones, becoming rich overnight was not enough to describe the shocking degree of wealth. Although Lu Rulan did not explain in detail why she was being chased by the people from the Soul Palace, even an idiot would know what was going on. It could only be that some big shot had his eyes on the soul stone mine. However, the Lu family was a hindrance. As the saying went, a man's wealth would arouse the envy of others. They were powerless, yet they seized the treasure. Wasn't that courting death? One could imagine the outcome. The entire Lu family was destroyed because of a groundless accusation. Moreover, to cover up their crime, the entire Lu family was killed. No one was spared. That was how big shots did things. They were ruthless and left no room for negotiation. Lu Rulan was the direct descendant of the Lu family. She was also a heavenly soul with shocking talents. Of course, she had become a thorn in the flesh of the mastermind. If Lu Rulan were to escape, she would definitely become a huge threat based on her talents. Therefore, she had to die for the big shots to be at ease. Chapter 1136. Where's the Soul Stone mine? Xiaoping asked immediately. He had no interest in what happened to Lu Rulan, but he was very concerned about the location of the Soul Stone mine. His goal in coming here was to find the Soul Stone. Previously, he only wanted to find a Soul Stone. Who would have thought that he would receive news of a Soul Stone mine as soon as he came down, giving him the chance to obtain the entire mine? This was a huge stroke of luck. If he missed this chance to get rich, he would definitely be struck by lightning. These extraterrestrial devils are the same as those bastards. Hearing Xiaoping's question, Lu Rulan gritted her teeth. She knew that the extraterrestrial devils mostly came for the soul stones on the Blood Soul continent. For the soul stones, the extraterrestrial devils had started countless wars. They were famous for this. However, she thought about it and realized that this might be an opportunity. After the battle just now, Lu Rulan knew how terrifying this extraterrestrial devil was. It could practically defeat Fulfillment Realm opponents. Moreover, this was only the strength it had displayed so far. Perhaps it still had trump cards that could deal with Divine Realm cultivators. If she told the extraterrestrial devil the location of the mine, she would definitely have an intense conflict with Huaining City's Soul Hall. According to this extraterrestrial devil's identity, it was definitely the type that would fight to the death with Huaining City's Soul Hall. There was no reason for them to coexist, and there was no need to worry about the two forces colluding with each other. This way, perhaps she could borrow the hand of this extraterrestrial devil to help take revenge on Huaining City's Soul Hall master. If she was lucky, she could even kill all the executioners in one fell swoop. Even if this extraterrestrial devil could not do it, she could still kill some of them. It could be considered as taking revenge for her family members who died. No matter what the outcome was, this would not do her any harm. It was worth a try. Didn't those bastards say that her Lu family was colluding with extraterrestrial devils? Now she, Lu Rulan, would collude with those people. For revenge, she would do anything. She would even sell her soul to the devil. Thinking of this, she finally made up her mind. The mine is in a valley 100,000 miles away from here. However, that place is very hidden. Without someone to lead the way, you won't be able to find it even if you spend a lifetime. Lu Rulan vaguely pointed out her importance. Without her help, they would not have been able to find the location of the mineral vein. Xia Ping stroked his chin. He did not doubt Lu Rulan's words. After ascending to the fulfillment realm and gaining control over his mind power, he discovered that his soul and the world tree's coordination with each other had increased his perception of the mind. If the other party was lying or had hostility or killing intent towards him, he would immediately be able to sense it. However, he didn't sense any trace of lying from the girl's words. Although Xia Ping didn't know why this girl was so eager to help, he didn't care. The most important thing was to obtain this soul stone mine. 100,000 miles away? Alright, let's go. Lead the way. Xia Ping did not use a flying ship. If he were to use a flying ship casually on the Blood Soul continent, he would definitely be discovered by the natives here. At that time, conflict would be unavoidable, and he might even be besieged. In the past, some universe warriors had come to the Blood Soul continent because they were too unscrupulous. As a result, they were besieged and killed. Therefore, with such a precedent, not many people dared to drive a spaceship after coming to the Blood Soul continent. This was a taboo. Although 100,000 miles was indeed a very long distance, it could also be considered a kind of cultivation. He was not in a hurry. He wanted to use this time to slowly understand this world. This was not necessarily a bad thing. But I can't walk now. I'm injured. Lu Rulan frowned. She had already been severely injured before, and she had been running for days. Her injuries had worsened. Even if Bao Mingyuan and the others did not chase after her, she would probably die soon. Now she could barely move her body. Even the slightest movement would cause intense pain all over her body. Injured? Take this bottle of recovery fluid. It will heal your injuries very quickly. Xia Ping searched his spatial ring for a while, and immediately took out a bottle of recovery fluid. This was a very famous healing fluid from the Heaven and Earth sect. It contained precious medicinal essences. Even if a person was seriously injured, a bottle of this healing fluid could recover in a night. Of course, it was not cheap. Recovery fluid? Lu Rulan took the bottle. She was stunned. She did not know what it was, but she knew that with her current physical condition, there was no need for the other party to harm her. If he really wanted to kill her, he could have done it with a palm. Why would he do anything else? She immediately opened the bottle and gulped it down. So cool. Immediately, Lu Rulan felt countless waves of cool air surge out of her body, surging towards her injuries. Many of the injuries on her body rapidly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her strength and soul power also recovered by more than half. Although she had not completely recovered, she was much better than before. She would probably be able to recover quickly after a while. Is this the power of an evil devil? That's terrifying. Lu Rulan was shocked. Even though she was the saintess of the Hall of Souls, she had never seen such a magical medicine. Such a serious injury could actually recover so quickly. If everyone had a bottle, wouldn't they be invincible? How could they fight? For a moment, she was a little confused. If the outer realm evil devils were so terrifying, how did the Blood Soul mainland win all the wars back then? Are you done? Stand up, let's go, said Xia Ping. However, at this moment Lu Rulan blushed. I don't have many clothes on me. Can you help me find some? Only now did she realize that after several days of fleeing and fighting, her clothes were almost in tatters. It was as if the fabric on her body would fall off at the slightest movement, revealing more than half of her body. That impressive figure and pair of long legs were so tall and enchanting that it made people drool with desire. In front of a stranger, even if the other party was an outer realm evil devil, she was still embarrassed. What clothes? I still think you look the best when you're naked. Xia Ping rubbed his chin and sized up Lu Rulan, clicking his tongue in admiration. Beast! Lu Rulan wanted to bite this pervert to death. She already knew that the outer realm evil devils were shameless, but she did not expect him to be so shameless. He did not even bother to hide it. However, you're my slave. It's fine if I see you, but if other men see you, I'll be very unhappy. Xia Ping suddenly walked up to Lu Rulan. Chapter 1137. 10 minutes later. At this moment, Lu Rulan glared at Xia Ping with her big eyes, feeling both angry and frustrated. She initially thought that Xiaoping was planning to go berserk and lose her chastity. She did not expect the extraterrestrial devil to not touch her, but tossed out a strange piece of clothing. According to the extraterrestrial devil, this kind of clothing was called a cheongsam in the extraterrestrial world. Lu Rulan did not pay much attention to it at first. Having a piece of clothing was already good enough. However, she only realized how shameful the cheongsam was after she put it on. This was because the clothing was too close-fitting, and it complemented her figure. Moreover, her figure was extremely hot, with curves all over her body. Once she put it on, her curves were all in all the right places, and all the good points of her body were on full display. She was the kind that could make a man vomit blood. Not bad, not bad. It looks like it suits you. Xiaoping sized her up. Not bad, my foot. Lu Rulan's pretty face was flushed, and she wanted to die from embarrassment. She wanted to slap this pervert. How could he design such a shameless clothing? She wondered which pervert did it. It was clearly designed to satisfy a man's desires. One should know that society in the Blood Soul mainland was still very conservative, just like in ancient times. Women in this mainland would basically dress as tightly as they could. Normally, she would only wear a white robe to cover her entire body. She had never worn such shameless clothing before. Unless she was a professional woman who seduced men and fawned over them as a profession. Why else would a woman wear such a thing? Do you have any other clothes? Lu Rulan bit her lip. She felt that wearing such clothes was a public execution. If anyone who knew her saw her in this outfit, she would lose all her dignity. No. In our world, women all dress like this. If you're not satisfied, you can only wear rope. Xiaoping waved his hand, indicating that he did not have any other clothes. Lu Rulan could not imagine that most women in the world of the devil would wear such clothes. Didn't that mean that women in the devil's world would end up pitifully, and all of them would be treated as such? Moreover, what did he mean by only wearing rope? Could rope be considered as clothes? Was this not just a prop, but also a rein to tie up horses and calves? Wait, could it be that this shameless demon said that he would tie up women? Heavens, this is not just a demon. It's simply a devil, the kind that is evil to the extreme. Lu Rulan's face was as red as a tomato when she imagined the scene. Her head was almost smoking. She would rather die than become like that. She could only wear a rope or something. It was more humiliating than death. Sure enough, it was an evil devil. The world of evil devils was too terrifying. Of course, if you really don't want to, you don't have to wear it. Xiaoping touched his chin and gave his suggestion. No need, I'm very satisfied with this dress. Lu Rulan rejected him decisively. Compared to that kind of ending, these clothes were like heaven. She did not want to end up like that even if she was beaten to death. Right, do you have any mental secret arts? Can you teach me a few of them? Xiaoping asked curiously. He felt that since Lu Rulan was a Soul Palace saintess, she naturally knew many mental secret techniques in this world. If he could learn a few, he would definitely have a few more killing moves. In fact, this was one of the reasons why he came to the Blood Soul continent. Of course, I know mental secret techniques, but I can't teach them to anyone. Lu Rulan said in a deep voice. It's not that I don't want to teach them, but I can't even if I want to because our mental secret techniques are obtained from the Soul Palace. To prevent the secret techniques from being leaked, everyone who learns mental secret techniques will set up a mental seal in their brain. If someone interrogates them, they will immediately self-destruct and die. That's why until now, the mental secret techniques of our Blood Soul continent have not been leaked. Xiaoping nodded. In fact, he had searched for similar information. Although the success rate of this mission was very low, there were too many people who entered the Blood Soul continent. Over time, there were actually some who could pass the mission. However, even if that was the case, not many of those who passed the mission could obtain the mental secret techniques of the Blood Soul continent. Previously, he was wondering why this happened. Now that he heard Lu Rulan's explanation, he understood the reason. It turned out that there was a mental seal. No wonder the secret techniques could not be leaked. In other words, as long as I can go to the Soul Palace, I'll be able to learn mental secret techniques? Xiaoping's eyes flickered. You're thinking of attacking the Soul Palace? Lu Rulon immediately saw through Xiaoping's intention. I advise you to give up on this idea immediately. The Soul Palace's branch in every major city is heavily guarded. There's also a seal formation inside that's strictly checked. If you're discovered, you'll be surrounded immediately and killed by the mental seal, and your soul will be destroyed. Moreover, the inheritance of the branch isn't considered high-level. The real high-level secret techniques are still in the Soul Palace's headquarters. However, that place is even more heavily guarded with countless experts and a bunch of divine power realm cultivators. That place is basically a tiger's den. Even in the previous wars with the extraterrestrial devils, the main hall has never been breached. She felt that Xiaoping, an extraterrestrial devil, was basically seeking death by having designs on the Soul Palace's main hall. Divine Power Realm? Xiaoping clenched his fists. The Fulfillment Realm and the Divine Power Realm were completely different. One could say that the difference between the Fulfillment Realm and the Divine Power Realm was several times greater than the difference between the Purple Mansion Realm and the Fulfillment Realm. The Fulfillment Realm only needed to condense divine sense to advance. However, in the Divine Power Realm, one had to condense a Divine Power Talisman and completely master a Martial Dao Divine Power to break through. Once a Martial Dao Divine Power was mastered, be it offensive or defensive power, it would be several times stronger than a concept. The power of Divine Power Realm could even change the world and affect the natural world. If it was a powerful Divine Power Realm martial artist, he could even change the world forever. For example, a martial artist who mastered Flame Divine Power could burn a mountain with a single punch, and it would not be extinguished for 100 years. Legend had it that there was a flaming mountain in the depths of the universe. It was a flame casually dropped by a powerful saint, and it burned for hundreds of millions of years without any signs of extinguishing until now. There were also those who mastered Ice Divine Power. With a single palm, they could freeze an entire planet. Even powerful flames could not melt it, and it would remain in a state of eternal ice. There was an abyss monster that slept every day. Its mere breathing created a never-ending spatial storm in the universe, destroying countless stars and forming an absolute forbidden ground. Chapter 1138. Is the security really that tight? Xiaoping was still unwilling to give up. He felt that there might still be a chance. If he could sneak in, he might be able to obtain the Soul Hall's inheritance without anyone noticing. After all, there weren't many precious techniques like mental secret skills, even in the Heaven and Earth faction. Even if they had some, each of them was shockingly expensive and required a large number of yin and yang pills. Do you really think the Soul Hall is that simple? Lu Rulon said in disdain. Do you know why the Soul Hall can still control every region despite the Blood Soul mainland being so huge? Nobody can fight back. Xiaoping found it strange too. The Blood Soul mainland had a diameter of 3 light years. It was a shocking diameter, and the surface area was unbelievably huge. On Earth in his past life, it was a difficult task to manage millions of square kilometers. He was constantly worried that the emperor was too far away, and some people would not listen to orders. Meanwhile, this place was much bigger than China in his past life. At the same time, there were no spaceships. It would take a few years to walk through a small region. It was too difficult to rule the entire continent. Why? Xiaoping asked. Because of the teleportation formation, Lu Rulon said in a deep voice. It's a super teleportation formation passed down from ancient times. It's distributed in every branch, and also connected to the main hall. They can travel to all parts of the world in the blink of an eye. If anything happens to the main hall, the branches from all over the world can come to help. It's impossible for anyone to take them down one by one. If you want to take down the main hall, you'll have to be prepared to fight all the experts in the world. Her expression was solemn. Nobody knew better than her how terrifying the Soul Hall was. They were so powerful that no one in the entire Blood Soul mainland could compare to them. Alright, seems like it's not that easy to get the secret skill of this world. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. It's good that you know. Lu Rulon was relieved to see Xiaoping like that. She felt relieved that she had finally gotten rid of the evil devil's evil thoughts. Although she felt that the extraterrestrial fiend would be courting death by entering the soul hall, she had an unusual fear of the extraterrestrial fiend for some reason. If they let this bastard charge into Soul Palace, who knew what kind of big thing would happen? Even if her family was killed by Huaining City's Soul Palace master, it didn't mean she hated the entire Soul Palace. Therefore, no matter what, she didn't want the super faction that maintained the balance of this world to encounter trouble. But what's so special about this world's occult spirit arts? Xiaoping asked curiously. He wanted to know more about the differences between this world's occult spirit techniques and the outside worlds. Hearing this, Lu Rulan did not plan to hide it. After all, Xiaoping only wanted to know what was so special about the spiritual secret skill. Even if she did not tell him, the devil would find out from somewhere else. There are actually 3 types of occult mind arts. Lu Rulan said. The first is an offensive secret skill that targets the soul directly. It's extremely domineering and aims to destroy the soul of a living being. This is also the one most people learn, and it's also the most widely spread. The second type is an illusion-type secret technique. It is said that some illusion-type masters are able to pass off the fake as the real thing and cause people to die in their dreams. They will be killed unknowingly. It is incomparably terrifying. However, to successfully learn it, one needs to be very talented. Not everyone can learn it. The third type is the rarest and the most terrifying, which is the control-type secret technique. She paused as she spoke. Control type? Xiaoping looked at Lu Rulan. That's what I've heard. Lu Rulan said. It is said that there's a powerful mind control secret skill in the depths of the soul hall. Once learned, one can control all living beings in the world, reducing them to slaves and carving a spiritual mark on them. They will be loyal for life and will never betray you. When the master dies, all the slaves will die as well. This is also the highest level mind control secret skill, left behind by the Blood Soul Mainland's god, the Blood Soul Ancestor. It's said that back when Patriarch Blood Soul rampaged through the universe, he relied on this mind control technique to enslave powerful warriors one after another, forming a super army that swept through the universe. However, to this day, no one has been able to obtain this secret skill. It's only a legend. Her tone was regretful. What? Xiaoping's eyes flickered. If a mind control secret skill that could control martial artists really existed, how terrifying would the Blood Soul Saint be? Who could stop him? Moreover, they would be loyal and would never betray him. This was even more terrifying. Yes, I've heard about this from the old master, Corinne said. It is said that the Blood Soul Saint was too arrogant back then. He actually enslaved one saint after another, causing panic in the universe. Therefore, some powerful beings fought with the Blood Soul Saint. That battle was earth-shattering, and many saints died. The Blood Soul Saint's whereabouts were also unknown. It's possible that he was killed. It revealed some of the information that it knew. Xiaoping raised his brows. Didn't they say that he died after entering a secret realm in the universe? That's what they said to the outside world, but I don't know what actually happened. In any case, this matter was covered up by the saints. They probably wanted to erase this matter completely and disappear from the long river of history. Only the bigwigs would know about this. Don't tell anyone else, because this is a taboo, Corin warned. He felt that this was a taboo, a secret between saints. If one was not powerful enough and was involved, they would not know how to spell the word death. If they were targeted by a saint, no matter how many lives they had, it would not be enough. Xiaoping fell into deep thought. If this was really the case, then the many forces monitoring the Blood Soul continent at all times were probably not just for the Soul Stone. Perhaps there were saints who wanted to obtain this supreme secret skill from the Blood Soul Saint. After all, it was a terrifying skill that could enslave saints. Once it was obtained, it might even be possible to unify the universe. If not for the Blood Soul Saint being too arrogant and accidentally exposing the fact that he could enslave saints, he might not have died and been besieged by all the saints. Of course, there might also be saints who hoped that this terrifying secret skill would disappear. Otherwise, it would definitely cause chaos in the universe. Moreover, was the Blood Soul Saint really dead? No one knew if such a terrifying sage still had any tricks up his sleeves, or if there was a way for him to resurrect. Xiaoping suddenly felt that the waters of the Blood Soul continent were deeper than he had imagined. The so-called demon beasts had no intelligence, or rather, they had low intelligence. They could not communicate with other races. However, these beasts all had ancient bloodlines. They had powerful bodies and shocking bloodline abilities. Their battle prowess wasn't any weaker than any other race. Once they went berserk, even the human race would be wary of them. Moreover, they were numerous and could be found all over the universe. Oh no, this is a single-horned steel tiger? Demon beasts. Why? Demon beasts. Demon beasts. Lu Rulan's expression changed when she saw the ferocious beasts. She could immediately tell that they were unique to the forest. In the Blood Soul continent, these beasts were also the overlords of the Blood Soul continent. In the primeval forest, these beasts were the true overlords. Race soul beasts were the best of the beasts. Their bodies were harder than diamonds. Normal attacks were like tickles to them. Every year Ling Ling and Ling were the best of the beasts. Their bodies were harder than diamonds. Normal attacks were like tickles to them. What frightened the soul race the most was that because they had low intelligence, their souls were extremely violent, so ordinary mental attacks were useless against them. This was equivalent to taking away half of the soul race's combat power. It was easy to imagine the threat they posed to the soul race. It was a one-sided battle. Roar! The Ling Ling and Ling roared. Their eyes were filled with ferocity. They looked at Xiaoping and Lu Rulan and drooled. It was as if they had seen delicious food. Their four limbs stepped on the ground, and their bodies moved in an instant. Huge holes appeared on the ground, and their huge bodies rushed over like lightning. Along the way, it tore through the air, creating air explosions and creating monstrous gales that swept in all directions. Tree after tree was swept up by the gales and turned into piles of sawdust. In the blink of an eye, they were in front of Xiaoping and Lu Rulan. Their giant claws were like blades, slicing and tearing the two of them into pieces. Hell Demon Suppression Spear. Xiaoping took out the Hell Demon Suppression Spear. With his body as the center, a violent aura was generated. It was as if a demon god's aura had exploded. He gripped the Hell Demon Suppression Spear tightly and stabbed it at the beasts. Dozens of spear shadows appeared in the air. The spear's tip produced a spiral force that spun continuously. Dong dong dong. The Ling Ling Ling. The Ling Ling Ling. The Hell Demon Suppression Spear pierced through their bodies easily. It was as easy as paper. Suddenly a large amount of blood burst out from their bodies. The tyrannical chi energy destroyed every part of their bodies. Boom. In the next second, their huge bodies fell to the ground, creating holes. Their eyes were wide open, as if they could not believe that they were killed so easily by humans. This. Lu Rulan was shocked. They were known as the overlords of the forest. The people from the soul race would have to sacrifice many lives to kill them. However, they were killed so easily by this demon. Their bodies that were harder than diamonds were pierced easily. It was a shocking scene. Without a doubt, the demon's weapon was extremely terrifying. It was definitely a demonic weapon. She immediately felt that the demons were not only scary in their own strength, but also in their possession of many powerful weapons. This multiplied their strength and made them unbeatable. Not a bad beast. They're full of energy. Looks like we'll have dinner tonight. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. He grabbed the Ling, Ling, and Ling Ling, and placed them in his space ring as food storage. A few days later, Xiaoping and Lu Rulan headed for the Soulstone mine. Along the way, they encountered many beasts. They were all unique to the Blood Soul mainland. However, Xiaoping killed them one by one. None of them were a match for him. Lu Rulan's injuries had healed as well. She was almost as good as before. Due to the daily consumption of ferocious beast meat, her chi and blood had become extremely vigorous and radiant. She seemed to have become even more beautiful. After all, ferocious beast meat was a very precious resource in the Blood Soul continent. Even the big families could not consume it every day. It was very beneficial to the human body. Xiaoping also felt that his energy was much stronger. The power in his body had increased as well. Chapter 1140. Precious Spiritual Medicine? Xiaoping also knew that in a continent like this, the treasures were definitely not limited to soul stones. There were also many precious spiritual medicine growing there, which was extremely beneficial to martial artists. In the past few days, he had also found many spiritual medicine along the way, but they were just ordinary spiritual medicine with average value. Now that Corinne had personally reminded him, it was obvious that the spiritual medicine was definitely not ordinary. Where are you going? Isn't the soul stone mine in this direction? Lu Rulan immediately noticed that Xiaoping seemed to have changed his direction and could not help but remind him. There's no hurry. Let's find a spiritual medicine first, Xiaoping said. His figure flickered as he headed in the direction that Corinne had pointed. Lu Rulan had no choice but to follow him. More than 10 minutes later, Xiaoping and Lu Rulan arrived at a valley. Before they even got close, the two of them sensed that the valley was filled with the rich fragrance of spiritual medicine. They even felt a sense of concentration and calmness, feeling that the valley was extremely peaceful. All of their worries were thrown away, and they were in a state of emptiness. It was extremely magical. Oh my God, this is the peace bloom. When Xiaoping and Lu Rulan entered the valley, Lu Rulan's beautiful eyes widened when she saw the spiritual medicine growing in the middle of the valley. She could not help but exclaim, clearly recognizing what it was. The spiritual medicine looked like a sunflower growing on the ground, emitting circles of holy white light that spread out and covered the entire valley. At that moment, there seemed to be many ferocious beasts around the valley. There were hundreds and thousands of them in different shapes and sizes, and every one of them was not inferior to the steel tiger they had encountered earlier. They looked around cautiously, their eyes filled with savagery and greed. Bathing in the light, they all hoped to devour this flower. However, there were too many competitors around. They did not dare to make any moves at the moment, afraid that they would become the target of public criticism if they acted rashly. Even if they had low intelligence, it did not mean that they did not have a crisis instinct. What's a peace bloom? Xiaoping asked. He knew that this spiritual medicine was definitely extraordinary. If it was not so, why would so many ferocious beasts appear around the valley and cause a fight? The peace bloom is an extremely precious spiritual medicine in the Blood Soul continent. Only the bigwigs of the Soul Palace are qualified to possess it. I've heard of it before, but I've never seen it before. Lu Rulan said. It's said that consuming the peace bloom has the effect of calming one's mind and removing distracting thoughts, allowing one to enter the state of epiphany more easily. Furthermore, it can greatly increase one's soul energy, enhance one's aptitude, and increase one's magic power. A single peace bloom is worth as much as a city. She was also very excited. She didn't expect to find the peace bloom in such a remote place. If she could get this spirit herb, her strength would definitely improve greatly. Perhaps he would have the chance to ascend to the transcendent realm and take his revenge. After all, Huining City's Soul Palace Lord was only a divine power realm early-stage cultivator. He was only one realm away from her. Very good. Then let's get rid of all these beasts and seize the peace bloom. Xiaoping was very satisfied and immediately got to work. What? Hearing that, Lu Rulan was scared half to death. Did this perverted demon know what was going on? Hundreds and thousands of beasts surrounded the valley, and danger lurked everywhere. In such a situation, this perverted demon still wanted to seize the peace bloom. Did he not want to live anymore? Was he not afraid of being surrounded and beaten to death by these beasts? She felt that this demon was practically a lunatic, the kind that did not want to live anymore. However, before she could say anything, Xiaoping had already made his move. Spiritual secret technique, Lion's adamantine seal. Xiaoping formed a seal with both hands, and the power of his consciousness surged. His entire body exploded with golden light, as if a divine lion had appeared behind him, looking down from above. Roar! Immediately, the divine lion roared into the sky, and its spiritual wave solidified. Golden light spread in all directions, covering the entire valley. Ouch! Lu Rulan was instantly moved. Her head felt like it was about to split open, as if the spiritual attack was about to tear her brain apart. She retreated continuously, escaping the range of the spiritual wave attack. However, the other beasts could not escape so quickly, and they were immediately heavily injured. Pung pung pung. In the blink of an eye, the weaker beasts were knocked to the ground. Their souls were shattered, their bodies turned into empty shells, and their eyes lost their luster. Even the rocks on the ground were affected by the spiritual attack. Shocking cracks appeared on them, and the weaker rocks were shaken to the point of madness. Far away, large trees began to crackle, and countless cracks appeared on them, as if they were swept by a storm. No way, what kind of spiritual secret technique is this? It's so violent and unstoppable. It's like a divine lion has descended. Could it be a technique comparable to Soul Palace's secret technique? Lu Rulan was shocked. She did not expect to see a spiritual secret technique, not inferior to Soul Palace's, from an evil devil. It had unstoppable power. With just one attack, most of the beasts in the valley were shaken to death. Although the other beasts with powerful spiritual powers did not die, they were shaken to the point of disorientation. They swayed and bled from their orifices. This was the terror of a spiritual attack. No matter how strong one's body was, even if it was harder than diamond, it was useless. If one couldn't block it, they would die. All of you become my food. Xiaoping attacked again and again, killing all of them. Ever since he awakened the golden crow of hell's stomach, his need for food had increased greatly. He especially craved food that was filled with energy. This made him a glutton like a glutton. Therefore, these beasts were great nourishment for him. Eating one was equivalent to taking a pill. It could speed up his cultivation and increase his magic power. A dozen or so minutes later, all the beasts in the valley were killed. They piled up into a small mountain. It was a majestic sight, and the valley was filled with the thick smell of blood. Whoosh! Xiaoping took action and quickly stored the beasts into his space ring as food. This is insane. Lu Rulan was numb. She sensed that the evil devil's martial arts realm was the same as hers. It was only at the fulfillment realm, and it was even at the early stage. However, his combat strength was unbelievably strong. It was unbelievable that he could defeat powerful fulfillment realm enemies. That's right, there's also the peace bloom. Xiaoping walked up, wanting to pluck the peace bloom as well, and take it for himself. Stop! Leave the peace bloom. At that moment, a shout came from afar. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, a terrifying arrow spiraled over, aiming for Xiaoping's head. Like lightning, it was filled with killing intent. Oomph! Chapter 1141. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, a rumbling sound came from afar. Immediately, a dozen earth dragons flew over from afar. Their auras were mighty and the ground shook. Soon, they arrived before Xiaoping and Lu Rulan. On the back of the earth dragons, dozens of silhouettes appeared. Among them was a middle-aged man in a black robe with a longbow in his hand. His gaze was cold. It was obvious that he was the one who wanted to shoot Xiaoping. However, the black-robed man was not the leader of this group. One of them wore a gorgeous robe and rode a golden earth dragon by himself. He looked majestic and handsome, and he had a long sword on his back. He looked like a high and mighty noble young master. The people around him were like guards, surrounding him. It was obvious that his identity was not ordinary. Be careful. Lu Rulan's expression was very serious. To be able to tame a fierce beast like the earth dragon, his background is not ordinary. Even the whining city hall master could not do this. This group of people might be nobles from the Soul Hall main hall. They are extremely powerful. She was knowledgeable and immediately recognized that this group of people had a powerful background. A force like Whining City could not be compared to them. They were at least important figures from the Soul Hall headquarters. Moreover, these people were at least Purple Mansion Realm cultivators. The strongest one was at the peak of Fulfillment Realm. All of them were elites. No matter where they were in the Blood Soul mainland, they were a force that could not be underestimated. As long as there were no Divine Realm cultivators, they could do whatever they wanted, and no one dared to offend them. He took an arrow from me and did not die. This kid seems to be quite capable. The black-robed middle-aged man was slightly surprised to see that Xiaoping was not dead. According to his expectation, this kid should have been killed by his arrow in an instant without a chance to fight back. Xiaoping was very unhappy. This group of people wanted to kill him without saying anything. They were extremely arrogant and had no regard for human life. However, before he could speak, the young man in the luxurious robe shouted excitedly, "Haha, peace bloom. That's right, it's the legendary peace bloom that grows in this valley. Just now, I was wondering why there was such a big commotion in this place. So I came to take a look out of curiosity. I didn't expect to find the peace bloom. This young master's luck is really too good. If I can consume this peace bloom, I'll definitely be able to ascend to the divine tier." He laughed heartily, looking very excited. "Congratulations, young master. Congratulations, young master. Young master is indeed someone blessed by heaven and earth. I didn't expect that he would find the peace bloom just by coming out to train. Even the heavens have decided that young master will become the sole palace master in the future." The surrounding people were all flattering him, and the young man had a comfortable expression on his face. Obviously, he was very comfortable and satisfied with the compliments of the people around him. "Men, pluck this peace bloom for me." The young man in a luxurious robe waved his hand and issued an order to his subordinates. "Yes, young master." A guard rode on an earth dragon, stomping on the ground, causing it to rumble and shake like a hurricane. He wanted to rush to the center of the valley and pluck the peace god flower. The guard riding the earth dragon clearly saw Xiaoping standing in front of Ning Shenhua, but he didn't want to talk nonsense with Xiaoping. He didn't say a word, and his face showed a cold expression. The earth dragon was still madly running, and there were wild gales and waves all around, as if it wanted to trample the person in front of it to death. To them, anyone who dared to stand in their way was no different from an ant. If they were to be crushed, then so be it. In the Blood Soul continent, human life was like grass. Very arrogant. Xiaoping's eyes flashed coldly. This group of people simply didn't put him in their eyes, snatching the peace bloom, as if it was a matter of course. Extremely overbearing. He punched out. Dong! The tyrannical fist energy blasted out from his body. It could be called the 100 Steps Divine Fist, as it smashed into the earth dragon. Oh no, what kind of attack was this? The guard immediately sensed a great danger, and he was finally moved. He no longer had the arrogant expression from before, and every cell in his body felt the approaching danger. But the speed of the fist energy was too fast. Even if he wanted to turn around and escape, it was too late. "No, no, no!" The guard shouted. In the next second, the fist energy exploded like a nuclear bomb. The huge body of the earth dragon exploded, turning into a pile of meat paste, and blood poured all over the ground. The guard only let out a shrill scream, and was smashed into pieces by the punch. He went to hell with the earth dragon, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't put his body back together. Xiaoping still stood in the same place, not moving a step. What? Seeing the elite guard killed by a punch and turned into a pile of meat paste, the group of people finally looked at Xiaoping, but all of them showed anger. "Lowly peasant, how dare you?" One of the guards shouted. "Who told you to kill my brother? Do you want to die?" Everyone was extremely angry, and their faces were gloomy. They didn't expect that there would be someone who dared to attack them. It was simply audacious to the extreme. "If you dare to attack me, it won't be a pity even if you die 100 times. Xiaoping sneered. "If any of you dare to act rashly and dare to snatch the peace bloom in front of me, you will die." His murderous intent instantly enveloped the whole valley. Who is this guy? How dare he stop this young master from getting the peace bloom? The man in the luxurious robe frowned. He felt very unhappy. There was actually someone who wanted to stop him from getting the peace bloom. "I'm not sure." The middle-aged man with the longbow next to him said. "I saw this kid trying to pick the peace bloom, so I wanted to shoot him to death with an arrow, lest he ruin the young master's plan. I didn't expect him to have some ability to be able to block my arrow." He said what had just happened. "He can actually block your arrow. No wonder my man was killed by him with a punch. It seems that he has some ability. No wonder he is so unruly and doesn't know how to appreciate favors." The man in the luxurious robe sneered. He was not moved at all by the death of his men. These guards died for him, and it was their duty. No matter how many died, he would not feel sad at all. Just like slaves, the number of deaths could be replenished. Young master, don't worry. I will go kill this lowly peasant now, eradicate this dangerous factor, and snatch the peace bloom. The middle-aged man with the longbow said in a deep voice, his body exuding a strong murderous intent. Chapter 1142. Wait, there seems to be a pretty girl here. Suddenly, the man in the luxurious robe noticed Lu Rulan standing beside Xiaoping. He was previously attracted by the peace bloom, and didn't notice Lu Rulan beside him. Now that his gaze was attracted by Xiaoping, he noticed Lu Rulan immediately, and his eyes lit up. Lu Rulan was simply too charming. She had a perfect face, and the aura of a saintess. Coupled with her voluptuous body, it was simply tempting. Especially when she was wearing a cheongsam, it accentuated her figure even more seductive. She was simply like a Greek goddess who walked out of the myths. Countless men would kneel before her skirt. The man in the luxurious robe was no exception. He was instantly captivated. Indeed, the best in the world. I've seen many beautiful women, but I've never seen a beauty with such temperament. She's so beautiful that she doesn't seem like someone from the mortal world. Could this beauty be that lowly commoner's wife? Why is she beside him? She's actually wearing such shameless clothes. The moral degeneration of the world is getting worse and worse. If she's really that lowly commoner's wife, she probably wouldn't wear such clothes. She might be his female slave. Damn, what right does that lowly commoner have to get such a beauty? How infuriating. Just where did he buy it from? Just what kind of luck did he have? He didn't even offer such a beauty to the Soul Palace's headquarters. Just what are those people doing? I'll have to punish them when I get back. Let's see if they still dare to go against me. The guards around them noticed Lu Rulan as well. Their eyes were filled with greed. They could not wait to take this peerless beauty as their own, and dominate her completely. These guys. Lu Rulan frowned. She was very unhappy, because these people were looking at her like she was a commodity. They were picking and choosing, as if they didn't treat her as a human being. Compared to the other realm demon beside her, she actually liked this other realm demon much more. At least this guy wouldn't look at her like that. However, she also knew that this was the culture of the Blood Soul mainland. The strong could have everything and dominate everything. The weak couldn't resist, and could only accept it obediently. It could be said that the level of hierarchy in this continent was much stricter than any place Xiaoping had ever seen. The difference of one level was like the difference between heaven and earth. The weak could only submit or die. It was impossible to offend one's superior. This was because humans who cultivated occult spirit techniques were different from humans who cultivated martial arts. If there was a huge gap in spirit power, no matter what technique one used, it would not be able to make up for it. High-level humans could easily slaughter a group of low-level humans. Moreover, in order to preserve their lives, the weak had to offer large amounts of tribute to the strong. Even if the strong took a liking to the weak's wife, they had to obediently hand her over without resistance. Among these experts, there was no doubt that Soul Palace's people were supreme. They controlled all the power, and everyone below them was exploited and oppressed by Soul Palace. Lu Qi, the man in the luxurious robe, narrowed his eyes and looked down from above. He gave an order. Go up and kill this lowly commoner. Dismember his body with 5 horses, and bring the woman beside him back to me, as well as the Ning Shenhua. Not only did he want to kill Xiaoping, but he also wanted to snatch the woman by Xiaoping's side, snatch the Ning Shenhua, and dominate everything. As for words like discussion, cooperation, and negotiation, they would never appear in his dictionary. To put it bluntly, he did not care about the man's identity at all. After all, there were not many people on the Blood Soul continent that he could not afford to offend. Yes, young master. The middle-aged man named Lu Qi nodded slightly. He immediately stood on the earth dragon and knocked an arrow, pouring all the power of his consciousness and mana into the bow and arrow. He cultivated an archery technique called the Soul Extinguishing Arrow. Using spirit power to lock onto the enemy's aura, he would then concentrate all his mana on the arrow and release it in an instant. The destructive power of the arrow would reach a shocking level. Although he was only a cultivator at the peak of the fulfillment realm, A full-powered arrow could even heavily injure a cultivator at the early stage of the divinity realm if it hit. Even if his consciousness locked onto the enemy's aura, this was also a tracking arrow. If it did not completely hit the enemy, or if the arrow was not destroyed, it would not stop. Even if the enemy fled to the ends of the world, the tracking arrow would still be able to track them down and kill them from hundreds of kilometers away. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, an arrow was released. It tore through the air and spun continuously, producing a buzzing sound as it shot towards Xia Ping at an extremely fast speed. Lu Qi was only 2 to 3 kilometers away from Xia Ping. The arrow's speed reached 20 to 30 times the speed of sound. It arrived before Xia Ping in the blink of an eye with a terrifying killing intent. That's fast. Lu Rilon was shocked. Now that she had recovered her cultivation base at the late stage of the fulfillment realm, her powerful consciousness could sense how terrifying Lu Qi's arrow was. Even though she could sense the arrow's trajectory with her spiritual power, her body could not react in time. If the arrow was aimed at her, she would have been killed long ago. This was not a secret technique that could only be obtained in an ordinary city. It was definitely a shocking secret technique that came from the Soul Hall's headquarters. How dare you come again? Xia Ping's gaze was getting colder. Under his consciousness, the arrow's speed was extremely slow. It was almost as if it was still. It would be a piece of cake for him to dodge it if he wanted to. However, he did not dodge. Instead, he planned to take it head-on. He had to kill the chicken to scare the monkey. Low-grade spirit weapon Black Horn Armor. At that moment, Xia Ping immediately activated his low-grade spirit weapon, Black Horn Armor. It was a powerful spirit weapon that he had obtained from the Red Scarf Thief. It had an extremely powerful defense. Once activated, with his current magic power, even a normal divine power realm cultivator would not be able to hurt him. Therefore, Xia Ping was fearless. He merely stood where he was and let the arrow shoot towards him. Dong! In the blink of an eye, the arrow turned into a stream of light and struck Xia Ping's body. However, at that moment, layers of black energy barriers exploded from the Black Horn Armor. Hundreds and thousands of layers were activated, like mountains stacked on top of each other. Meanwhile, the arrow's energy exploded instantly. The layers of energy barriers were destroyed, and hundreds of layers were torn apart. However, it still could not penetrate the Black Horn Armor's defense. The place where Xia Ping was standing was also bombarded. A huge shockwave swept in all directions, creating a shocking hole in the ground. Gravel flew everywhere and sand rolled. The people around could not see what was happening. Chapter 1143. Poor guy. He's probably turned into ashes now. What's there to be pitiful about? It's not a good thing for someone who doesn't know what's good for him to die. Indeed, if he had escaped earlier, he might have had a chance to live. Now that he dares to fight us head-on and put up a desperate fight, who's going to die if he doesn't? That's right. Not only is he dead now, but even the woman next to him belongs to the young master. This is what happens to those who dare offend the young master. This is a lesson learned. How dare you act so arrogantly without any strength? I can laugh at this joke for a whole year. The guards around him sneered. They were not surprised at Xia Ping's death at all. After all, only divine realm cultivators could block Lu Qi's arrow. No, that's not right. That guy isn't dead yet. Unlike the people around him, Lu Qi's expression was extremely serious. That arrow was different from any of the arrows he had shot before. He did not feel like he had killed his enemy at all. That was because the moment the arrow was destroyed, the divine sense he had imbued into the arrow had clearly sensed that his arrow had not pierced through the enemy's body. Instead, it had been destroyed. Even though the yellow sand was billowing, and he could not see his surroundings, he could still sense that the enemy was still there. A lingering sense of danger enveloped his body, as if a great disaster was about to befall him. Swoosh! Suddenly, Lu Qi noticed a dazzling white light appear in the yellow sand. It was even more dazzling than the sun in the sky. It was as if it was the only light in the world. The moment the white light appeared, the entire world seemed to darken. It was as if the light had completely locked onto his body. No matter where he ran, he would not be able to escape. Impossible. Lu 7 let out a shrill cry. He finally understood how those enemies who had been shot in the head by him felt before they died. The feeling of being targeted was so helpless. It was as if he had been targeted by the Grim Reaper. No matter where he ran, the Grim Reaper's power would follow him like a shadow and descend upon him. It was an unchangeable ending. He could even sense that the white light was even faster than his arrow. Even though he had trained his reflexes for hundreds of years, he could not react in time at all. Dong! Just as he was about to dodge, the white light pierced through his forehead. A small, bloody hole appeared, and blood dripped out of it. So fast. That was the only thought left in Lu Qi's mind before he died. His eyes were wide open, as if he could not believe that he had been killed in an instant. He did not even have a chance to fight back. With a plop, his body lost its support and fell from the Earth Dragon's body, rolling on the ground like a football. Lord Lu! The surrounding guards all cried out in surprise. They were stunned because everything had happened too quickly. From the appearance of the white light to Lu Qi's death, only a breath's time had passed. In such a short period of time, they did not know what had happened. All they knew was that Lu Qi suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream and fell from the Earth Dragon's body, dying on the spot. Lu Qi, the man in the luxurious robe, was also shocked. His most capable subordinate had suddenly died. He was now in a completely dumbfounded state, and his entire mind was blank. Not dead. That lowlife is not dead yet. Someone shouted. At this moment, the sand and dust dispersed, revealing the original appearance of the person. Xia Ping was still standing in his original position, completely unharmed. It's him. That lowlife killed Lord Lu Qi. He must have done it. Many people screamed, because there were no other enemies at the scene apart from Xia Ping and Lu Rulan. Lu Rulan was a woman and a slave, so they automatically ignored her. They did not treat her as a fighting force at all. How is that possible? How did that lowlife kill Lord Lu? What happened just now? The guards still did not know how Lu Qi had died, because Xia Ping was 2 to 3 kilometers away from them. He should not have been able to attack them from such a distance. However, the problem was that Lu Qi had died on the spot. That was the truth, so they were all confused. He's too powerful. The only one who saw it clearly was Lu Rulan. She clearly saw that the extraterrestrial devil grabbed with his hand. His mana vibrated, and a sharp dagger was formed instantly. He then threw the dagger lightly. The speed of the dagger was even faster than an arrow. In the next second, she heard Lu Qi's blood-curdling scream, and saw Lu Qi being killed and rolling off the Earth Dragon's body. He killed a cultivator at the peak of the fulfillment realm, with just one move. She thought she was dreaming. Is this the true power of an extraterrestrial devil? How can he be so terrifying? Moreover, with such power, why would he need to find the Soul Hall's mental secret technique? With that power alone, he could defeat all his enemies and be invincible. She thought she knew Xia Ping's power, but it seemed like she had greatly underestimated him. He was unfathomable, and she had no idea what his bottom line was. All of you must die. Xia Ping looked at the man in the luxurious robe, and the others calmly. His tone was calm, as if he was the Grim Reaper's order to kill. If the King of Hell wanted someone dead at midnight, who would dare to stay until midnight? Kill him. Let's go together and kill this lowlife. The man in the luxurious robe was completely infuriated by those words. His face was twisted and red as if he had gone mad. He roared madly and gave his guards an order. His body was trembling slightly because he could feel a terrifying killing intent from Xia Ping. It was as if he was being stared at by a peerless, ferocious beast. His life was like a candle in the wind that could be extinguished at any time. This was a feeling he had never felt in his life. This was a near-death experience. No matter what identity, status, power, or wealth, they had to lower their heads in the face of death. They were all incomparably humble. If he didn't kill this brat, he would definitely die. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hearing the order, dozens of guards moved, riding on the Earth Dragons. Like an army, they moved forward majestically, charging towards Xia Ping. With this kind of power, even a 100-meter-tall city wall would be easily knocked down. Kill! Xia Ping stood where he was and threw a punch. Sacred ultimate skill, Sun God Fist. Immediately, His fist shone with golden light. Endless flames gathered together and formed a giant red sun. It crushed towards the group of guards just like that. These flames contained the essence of the sun and had the characteristics of destruction. Once touched by it, it would not stop until the body was burned to ashes. It was extremely domineering. The man in the luxurious robe and the others were scared out of their wits. They no longer had the courage to fight. The reputation of the extraterritorial fiends was like the shadow of a tree. God knew how many experts of the Blood Soul continent had been killed by them. The strength that he had displayed had scared them out of their wits. They quickly rode on the earth dragons and turned around to leave. As for the peace bloom, they no longer dared to hope for it. It was already a great fortune to be able to keep their lives. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Xiaoping didn't even look at them. He flicked his finger lightly, and immediately, more than 10 streams of qi condensed from flames shot out like lasers. They were extremely fast and covered an area. A few of the guards let out shrill cries. Their bodies were pierced and sent flying, exploding in midair, and turning into a pile of shards. It's over. The man in the luxurious robe's face was pale. He could feel that he was about to die. He was hit by the flames, and with his body alone, there was no way he could block it. At that moment, there was a sudden roar. Boom! In an instant, an earth-shattering sound rang out in the air, like the roar of an ancient beast. Terrifying sound waves spread out, affecting the yuan qi of the heaven and earth, within a radius of several dozen miles. Immediately, the fire qi that had blasted on the man in the luxurious robe was shaken into nothingness. The power even traveled through the air towards Xiaoping, causing the air to tremble thousands of times. Finally making a move, Xiaoping was not flustered. He had long sensed that there was a divine realm expert spying on him. He did not use his full strength, because he was constantly on guard against the other party. However, just as he was about to kill the man in the luxurious robe, the expert finally could not hold back and chose to make a move. His figure flashed as he moved horizontally, plucking the peace bloom and putting it in his spatial ring to prevent it from being destroyed by the shockwaves. He instantly moved hundreds of meters away. The power of the sound waves pushed forward, hitting a small mountain behind Xiaoping. Immediately, the small mountain was flattened and shattered into countless shards. The trees on the mountain were also shaken into dust. The destructive power was shocking. Whoosh! In the next second, a goateed old man stepped out of the air and arrived beside the luxurious robe man. His clothes fluttered despite the absence of wind. His aura was solemn, as if his every move could draw in the power of the world. Elder Qi, why are you here? Seeing the goateed old man appear, the luxurious robe man was overjoyed. He did not expect to see an elder of the Hall of Souls here. It was too unexpected. Your father asked me to protect you in secret, but I cannot reveal my whereabouts. After all, this is a trial for you. The goateed old man stroked his beard and smiled. The goateed old man stroked his beard and said with a smile, however, since the fiends have appeared, this is no longer within the scope of training. Therefore, I have no choice but to take action. He stared at Xiaoping with an aloof expression. Elder of the Hall of Souls. Lu Rulan's expression changed. She knew that to become an elder of the Hall of Souls, one had to be at least in the divinity realm. Even the Soul Hall Lord of Huining City was only at the early stage of the divinity realm. Now that an expert of this level had appeared, it seemed like they would not be able to escape this time. Yes. Elder Qi, this guy is an extraterrestrial fiend. He wanted to kill me just now. Kill him now. Kill him now. Kill this demon. The luxurious robe man shouted, as if he had found a powerful backer. He was no longer panicking like before. He stared at Xiaoping with eyes filled with hatred. If not for Elder Qi, he would have been killed by this extraterrestrial fiend long ago. This was an irreconcilable feud. If he could capture this extraterrestrial fiend alive, he would definitely make this extraterrestrial fiend suffer a fate worse than death. Fiend! The old man with the goatee looked down from above. You still dare to enter the Blood Soul continent. You're quite courageous. Do you want to surrender and be imprisoned in the Soul Hall's prison? Or do you want to resist and be killed by me personally? With your fulfillment realm strength, it's impossible for you to survive 3 attacks from me. You're out of luck to meet me in this place. You're out of luck. Lu Rulan clenched her fists tightly, her body trembling slightly. This was the power of heaven and earth, like the murmur of an ancient god. Once hit, one would definitely turn into ashes. This was the terror of a cultivator in the divine realm. She was not afraid of death, but she was afraid that she would die silently without avenging her parents. This was something she could not accept. Die fiend. The goateed old man raised his strength to the limit. In order to instantly slay this foreign fiend demon, and prevent any undue troubles. Even though he was a major realm lower than Xia Ping, he still used his full strength. Therefore the destructive power was simply unimaginable. It was like a bat that was at the level of an ancient ferocious beast roaring. The sound waves spread out, and the power of the sound waves exploded completely. It was no less than a nuclear bomb. Moreover, the destructive power was even more shocking than a nuclear bomb. It penetrated the essence of an object, and once something was hit by the power of the sound waves, it would be completely destroyed within a breath's time, and its soul would be destroyed. Go. Xia Ping did not even look at it. With a thought, he immediately released the moon god from his space ring. The massive moon god appeared from thin air, crashing towards the goateed old man in midair. It was like a huge meteorite had appeared out of thin air, falling from outer space. This was a move that Xia Ping had thought about for a long time. He could use the space ring to launch many powerful attacks. If he released the items in the space ring in an instant, it could create an unexpected effect. If he were to throw the massive spaceship out, the effect would be no less than summoning a meteorite from outer space. What? As expected, the goateed old man was shocked, and he was a little dumbfounded. He had no idea what was going on. Why did such a massive object suddenly appear, almost covering the entire valley, as if it was shrouded by a shadow? Bang bang bang. The sound wave attack was blocked by the massive object without a doubt. Immediately a loud sound rang out. However, the moon god's exterior was made of special materials, and was incomparably hard. Even though the goateed old man's divine ability was extremely powerful, it could not damage the outer shell of the moon god's spaceship. It only caused a few banging sounds, and the spaceship remained undamaged. Damn it! The goateed old man's expression changed. He had not expected such an unforeseen event. If he were hit by the massive object, he would probably be smashed into meat paste. Let's go. He instinctively felt that this extraterrestrial demon was not to be trifled with. Even though there was a major realm difference between them, this extraterrestrial demon had too many tricks up its sleeves. He did not know what would happen in the next second. Therefore, he felt that staying here was not a good thing. As the saying goes, a gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. It was better to return to the Soul Palace headquarters and gather a large group of people to surround and annihilate the extraterrestrial demon. Whoosh! He single-handedly grabbed the man in the luxurious robe, as if he was grabbing a chick. The goateed old man's figure flickered as he flew through the air, moving horizontally and dodging in an instant. Moreover, he did not stop and fled into the distance, with no intention of turning back. He's escaping. Lu Rulan's beautiful eyes widened. She had actually seen a divine realm cultivator fleeing. Moreover, he was an elder of the Soul Palace. He was facing a fulfillment realm extraterrestrial demon. This was too unbelievable. Since when was the elder of the Soul Palace so cowardly that he did not dare to fight an extraterrestrial demon to the death? Moon God, shoot him down. Xia Ping immediately contacted Moon God's AI and activated the ship's internal weapon system. The purple lightning cannon was fired. Dong! Immediately, a thick bolt of purple lightning shot out from Moon God. It locked onto the goateed old man's aura and blasted out like a god-slaying spear. Oh no! The goateed old man's expression changed. He felt great danger, but when he turned back, he immediately saw a bolt of purple lightning blasting towards him. It was extremely fast. Dong! The lightning spear instantly pierced through his body. Even the man in the luxurious robe in his hand was no exception. His entire body exploded from the lightning. No, no, no! The man in the luxurious robe screamed crazily in extreme fear. He was an important figure with a boundless future. How could he die in this nameless place? But no matter how he screamed, he was quickly turned into pieces under the attack of the purple lightning cannon. Along with the goateed old man, he disappeared from this world. Chapter 1146. They're all dead. Lu Rulon was dumbfounded. She thought that the extraterrestrial fiend was dead for sure once a divine realm cultivator appeared. As someone close to the extraterrestrial fiend, she wouldn't be able to escape either. Who would have thought that this guy would rise up and instantly kill the elder from the Hall of Souls, killing a divine realm cultivator? His achievements were shocking. The luxuriously robed man with a powerful background had also died tragically in the man's hands. None of them were spared. If the man was from the Blood Soul mainland, he might be worried that he had offended some big shot. However, the opponent was an extraterrestrial fiend. Why would he be afraid? If anything went wrong, he could escape immediately and leave the Blood Soul mainland. Who could do anything to him then? Perhaps this extraterrestrial fiend really has a chance to kill the Hall of Souls master of Whining City. Lu Rulon clenched her fists. She couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope for revenge. Whoosh! At that moment, Xia Ping put away the moon god ship. He couldn't reveal such a powerful weapon. This luxuriously robed man has soul stones? Xia Ping soon discovered that a bag dropped from the luxuriously robed man's body after he killed him. He grabbed it and opened it to find 4 to 5 soul stones. Apart from the luxuriously robed man, he also found 4 to 5 soul stones on the Hall of Souls elder. He held the soul stones in his hand, and immediately felt his soul power grow a little. As expected of the legendary mystical stones, if I devour these soul stones and the peace bloom, it'll definitely benefit me greatly. I might even be able to reach the mid-stage fulfillment realm soon. Xia Ping clenched his fists. He didn't expect to complete the mission so quickly. If he left now, the mission would be considered completed without any effort. The problem was that he didn't come to the Blood Soul mainland just to obtain a soul stone. He wanted to obtain more benefits. By the way, Xia Ping, it's best not to consume the peace bloom now. At that moment, Corinne's voice was heard. Why? Xia Ping asked. Corinne said in a deep voice, this mystical flower is a very precious spiritual medicine even in the universe. It's no less than a sacred medicine, especially for cultivators who are about to advance to divine realm. If you consume the peace bloom flower when you are at the peak of the fulfillment realm, you will enter a state of enlightenment. That way, you will be able to form more martial arts and solidify your martial foundation. For divine tier cultivators, being able to comprehend more martial arts and mystiques would naturally make them stronger. It told Xia Ping that a normal divine tier cultivator could only form 1 martial arts divine tier ability, but a true monster could form 3, 5 or even more. The more god powers one mastered, the more powerful their combat power would be. It could be said that depending on the god powers they mastered, there was a huge gap between the god power realm cultivators. Of course, it didn't mean that the more mystical abilities one had, the better. It also depended on the quality of the martial path mystical abilities. If the quality wasn't good enough, and it wasn't strong enough, learning more would be useless. It would only be considered as making up the numbers. Some martial artists who had only learned 1 ancient martial path divine ability were able to match 2 or 3 ordinary divine abilities of ordinary martial artists. Fiend! At that moment, Lu Rulon stepped forward and said, we can't stay here any longer. We have to escape. Why? Xia Ping blinked his eyes, very puzzled. You're asking why? Do you know who the person you just killed was? Lu Rulon gritted her teeth and said, if I'm not wrong, that old man should be a renowned elder of the Soul Palace. His position is higher than the palace masters of the various palaces. There's only one person in the world who can command a Soul Palace elder, and that's the palace master of the Soul Palace, Chang Shisheng. This luxuriously robed young man is probably Chang Shisheng's son. Her expression was very serious. Only now did she realize the severity of this matter. However, it was too late to stop Xia Ping now. The person was already dead. There was no way to stop him even if she wanted to. Think about it carefully. Now that the Soul Palace Master's son, an elder, and many elites have died tragically in this place, Chang Shisheng will probably be enraged. Lu Rilon gritted her teeth and said, "Once the Soul Palace Master is enraged, the world will be turned upside down. There's no place for us in the entire Blood Soul mainland. If Chang Shisheng finds out that we killed his son, the consequences will be unimaginable." She felt that following behind this fiend was her 8 lifetimes of bad luck. She had provoked such trouble for no reason. Once this crime was discovered, killing her entire family would be a light punishment. If they were caught, it would be hard for them to die even if they wanted to. In the Blood Soul mainland, the Soul Palace Master was a god. His orders could not be disobeyed unless they wanted to die. Of course, she knew that this conflict was unavoidable. The Soul Palace Master's son clearly wanted to kill them all and take the Peace God flower for himself. If the Soul Palace Master's son didn't die, they would be the ones dead. The Soul Palace Master's son? We caught a big fish this time. Xiaoping rubbed his chin and his eyes lit up. He did not expect things to be so coincidental. The person he killed was the Soul Palace Master's son. Big fish my ass. It was already a dead fish. Not even a hair was left. Lu Rilon spat at Xiaoping in her heart. She could sense that this fiend clearly wanted to see the world in chaos. "Wait, what are you doing?" Suddenly, she found that Xiaoping had moved all the nearby corpses together and stacked them into a hill. Then, he seemed to be writing a few big characters on a nearby rock. The murderer, Master Mateto, specially came here as a souvenir. Are you crazy? Lu Rilon was dumbstruck. Not only did this fellow not escape after killing the Soul Palace Lord's son, but he was also afraid that others wouldn't know he did it. He even dared to leave his name here and point out that he did it. Was he trying to drive the Soul Palace Master crazy? If the Soul Palace Master saw this scene, the entire Blood Soul mainland would probably be shaken. Countless powerful enemies would come looking for trouble with this fiend. Being killed on the spot would be a good thing. The scariest thing would be being captured alive and not being able to control one's life. It's fine. I just want them to know about this. It'll be fun now. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. Fun my ass. Lu Rilon felt despair in her heart. Her face turned green, and she regretted it too late. Back then, why did she foolishly follow this fiend, and even wanted to use him? Now that this had happened, even if she successfully took revenge and killed the Soul Palace Master in Huining City, she would not have a place in the Blood Soul mainland in the future. She was afraid that she would not be able to establish herself in the Blood Soul mainland in the future. She would definitely become the most wanted criminal in the history of the Blood Soul mainland, and countless people would want her head. Chapter 1147. A few days later, at the spot where Xiaoping had first landed on the Blood Soul continent, a spaceship appeared in the sky. With a thud, it gently landed on the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Pa! Immediately, the hatch of the spaceship opened, and 7 figures walked out. All of them exuded a monstrous murderous aura. Blood filled the air, as if dyeing the sky red. These 7 people were the famous 7 Kills gang. In order to be fully prepared to kill Xiaoping, they had arrived at the Blood Soul continent a few days late. However, it would be impossible to complete the mission on the Blood Soul continent without a few months, so they were not worried that Xiaoping would complete the mission and leave now. We've finally arrived at the Blood Soul continent. Be careful. This place is the territory of the Soul race. They are all proficient in secret mind techniques and have strange methods. If you're not careful, you won't even know how you died. It's said that this is the burial ground of the universe's martial artists. Who knows how many people have died here? It's terrifying. But there's no need to worry. Lord Kuang Tu has given us some treasures that can resist mind attacks. I believe that the Soul race won't be able to hurt us no matter how powerful they are. As long as we can find Xiaoping and kill him, we'll complete the mission. Either he dies or we die. We have no other choice. A cold glint flashed in the eyes of the 7 Kills gang. They were under the restriction of St. Kuang Tuesday. If they did not complete the mission and could not kill Xiaoping, they would definitely be killed by the furious Saint Kuang Tuesday. Therefore, they were destined to fight to the death with Xiaoping. Don't worry. According to the intelligence, that kid is only a fulfillment realm cultivator. Even if he's a disciple of a saint, he can't be more powerful than us divine realm cultivators. Moreover, the enemy is in the open while we're in the dark. We have the absolute advantage. As long as we catch him off guard, we can assassinate him successfully. Then we can retreat successfully. The one who spoke was the leader of the 7 Kills gang, Fang Di. He was an expert in puppetry. One person was equivalent to an army. What he often did was control the puppets to carry out suicidal attacks. When they got close to the target, they would explode on the spot. No matter how many bodyguards the target had, they would still be killed by the explosion. However, because his assassination had caused too much of a commotion and caused countless civilian deaths, he had become the most wanted criminal in the 7 Kills gang with the highest bounty. Big Brother is right. That brat is nothing to worry about. As long as we find him, he will definitely die. Now our goal is to find his whereabouts, capture and kill him. It's that simple. The one who spoke was the 7th brother, Kong Nua. His appearance was neither male nor female. It was either yin or yang, like a transvestite. His voice was also a little eccentric, making one's hair stand on end. He was an expert in the art of disguise. It was said that he had 1,000 faces on his body. Whenever he sneaked into a crowd, no police would be able to track him. According to our intelligence, this should be the place where Xiaoping first landed. However, so much time had passed, and no one knew where he had gone. Alright, 2nd brother. Can you track down that kid's whereabouts? Fang Chung looked at his 2nd brother. The 2nd brother's name was Mao Bu, and he was an expert in tracking. He had mastered a martial arts mystical ability called wind-chasing nose, which could sniff out targets from thousands of miles away and distinguish thousands of different scents. He was even more sensitive than a dog's nose. Those who were tracked by him, no matter where they fled to, would not be able to escape from his grasp. Don't worry, this is just child's play. Maobu laughed sinisterly. I can smell the scent on that brat's body. A few days ago he stopped at this place. Other than that, there also seems to be the scent of different people. They are probably all from the Soul clan. Both sides had a very intense conflict, but they were all killed by this brat. Alright, there seems to be a very fragrant scent in the air. It was left behind by a very beautiful young woman. She seems to be working with that kid. She's quite lucky with women. With a light sniff, he seemed to know what had happened in this place a few days ago. Fuck. Is that kid here to complete a mission, or to pick up girls? He just landed on the Blood Soul continent, and he's already picked up a beauty from the Soul tribe. It looks like he's a hero saving the damsel in distress. What's so great about being a disciple of a saint? Can he be so impudent and flirt everywhere? These disciples of big sects are all like that. They rely on their good looks and money to get into trouble everywhere they go. After picking up all the beauties, they run away after getting pregnant. They have no sense of responsibility at all. That's why they deserve to die. All handsome men have to die. The 7 Kill gang, and the others gritted their teeth in hatred. One had to know that those who came to the Blood Soul continent were prepared to die, because the death rate was more than 99%. Which one of them did not land on the Blood Soul continent in fear and trepidation, afraid that they would be surrounded and attacked by the natives? But this kid had just landed on the Blood Soul continent not long ago. And he was already trying to be a hero saving the damsel in distress. He even hooked up with a beauty from the Soul tribe. Was there any justice in this world? To be honest, 2 or 3 of them had suffered some trauma in their hearts. There was once a wife who ran away with a pretty boy from a big sect. She left a note saying that she was going to pursue her true love. Love your ass. Didn't she just look down on him for being poor, old, and ugly? It was because they had encountered such a thing before that their minds were all twisted. They wanted nothing more than to catch up with Xia Ping and kill him for the sake of the people. All beautiful women deserve to die. They need to be poisoned to death. The one who spoke was the 3rd sister, Yin Xiaotong. Her tone was strange and sinister. She looked very old, like a witch, and her skin was like the bark of a 100-year-old tree. She looked very old, like she was in her 70s or 80s. In fact, she was only 30, but because she had been cultivating poison all year round, the poison had attacked her heart, causing her appearance to change greatly. That was why she looked like an old woman. But because of this, she especially hated those young and beautiful women. Once she saw them, she wanted to splash acid on them and disfigure them, making them follow in her footsteps. Moreover, destroying the faces of those beautiful women gave her a strange kind of pleasure. Second brother, where is that kid? The eldest brother, Fang Chun, looked at his second brother, Mao Bu, with a fierce look in his eyes. Big brother, he should be in the east. Although we don't know how far he has gone. He must have left many traces along the way. He won't be able to escape. Mao Bu laughed cruelly. He had not only learned the wind-chasing nose martial arts, but he had also been trained in the army and was proficient in all kinds of tracking techniques. The people of the Jianghu called him a hound. Once he targeted someone, there was absolutely no chance of escape other than death. Good, let's go and catch up with that kid, Fang Chun ordered. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Chapter 1148. At the same time, where the luxurious robed man and the others died, several hundred black-clothed people appeared. They completely sealed off the valley, and all of them emitted powerful auras. They were all at least at the fulfillment realm. There were even dozens of divine ability realm cultivators. This force was enormous, and could be said to be Soul Palace's true elites. Among this group of people was a 2-meter-tall middle-aged man. He had a square face, and his body was fat like a ball, seeming to weigh at least a ton. He had a superior aura on him, as if he was used to being high up. The surrounding black-clothed people all surrounded him like loyal subordinates. None of them dared to even breathe loudly, afraid of angering the middle-aged man in front of them. This middle-aged man was none other than Soul Palace's Palace Master Chang Shisheng, a peak divine ability realm cultivator. His face was extremely gloomy and dark. He stared at the corpse on the ground, as well as the words written on a huge rock. Killer Wu Taidu, what a good Wu Taidu. My son was killed by him. Chang Shisheng's face was full of dark clouds, and he let out an angry roar. A terrifying mental storm immediately exploded from his body, sweeping in all directions. The surrounding black-clothed people all retreated, their lungs heavily injured, and a sliver of blood seeped out of their mouths. In fact, with his body as the center, the entire ground was shaken into a crater that was several kilometers deep. Countless cracks appeared, and with a cracking sound, the cracks extended more than 10 kilometers away. All the savage beasts in the surrounding 10 kilometers all fled in fright, marking this place as a temporary forbidden ground. He clenched his fists, his heart filled with anger, because he couldn't contact his son a few days ago, and couldn't even contact a Soul Palace elder. He immediately had a bad premonition. Thus, he sent his subordinates to track his son. He never expected that they would find his son, Soul Palace elder, and many Soul Palace elites' corpses in this forest valley. All of them were incomplete, and couldn't be more dead. Seeing his son's corpse, he almost fainted. Though this wasn't his only son, he was one of the most talented, and received a lot of love from him, even being raised as his successor. Even when he went out to train, he would send a divine tier elder to protect him in the dark, afraid that something might happen. Who would have thought that even with such defensive conditions his son would still die? He was killed on the spot, and his corpse could not be preserved in a perfect state. One could imagine how angry Chang Shisheng was right now. If Master Mateto appeared in front of him, he would definitely dismember this guy's body, capture his soul, and torture him day and night. Lord Hall Master. One of his men stepped forward and said, I'm afraid that Master Mateto isn't a member of our soul race, but an extraterrestrial demon. Look at the traces of battle here. There are traces of flames that haven't been extinguished for a long time. The rocks turned into magma, as if a volcano erupted. Without a doubt, the one who killed the young master is an expert who has grasped the flame divine ability. However, our soul race doesn't have this kind of power, so the murderer must be an extraterrestrial fiend. He was certain that the murderer was not a soul race clansman. One had to know that the luxuriously robed man's status was extremely noble. He was the son of the Soul Palace's palace master. He was below one and above tens of thousands of people. If it was a soul race divine ability realm expert, it was impossible for them to attack the young master. Only those daring and unscrupulous extraterrestrial fiends would dare to do such a thing. The other Soul Palace elites also nodded, agreeing with this point. Because according to the battlefield's environment, there was a terrifying heat that hadn't dissipated even after a few days. Other than the extraterrestrial fiends, there was no one else who could grasp this kind of divine ability power. Extraterrestrial fiend. This extraterrestrial fiend sure has guts. Chang Shisheng was furious. He killed my son, and still dares to leave his name here. Is he afraid that I don't know that he's the real murderer? Simply arrogant to the extreme. He was so mad that his face turned red. He had never seen such an arrogant murderer in his life. In the Blood Soul continent he was the sky the god. When had he ever seen anyone who dared to disobey his orders? Everyone was respectful and fearful, afraid that they would anger him and bring disaster upon themselves. Not to mention that someone had killed his son and dared to reveal his identity, carving such words on a nearby rock as if afraid that he wouldn't know. Just how much did this extraterrestrial fiend want to look down on him? His eyes were spitting out flames of anger. Lord Palace Master, this extraterrestrial fiend is indeed arrogant. He even dares to leave his name here. This is clearly a provocation. He's clearly coming for our Soul Palace. Could it be that these extraterrestrial fiends want to start a war with our Soul Clan again? Damn extraterrestrial fiend, this matter can't end like this. We must make Master Mateto pay the price. Even the elders died in his hands. This hatred is absolutely irreconcilable. Many Soul Palace elders were gnashing their teeth. They were also thoroughly angered by this matter. If they didn't kill this arrogant Master Mateto, what prestige would Soul Palace have in the future? Pass on my order. Chang Shisheng roared like thunder. Immediately inform everyone in the Blood Soul continent that this extraterrestrial fiend Master Mateto is listed as the most wanted criminal in the Blood Soul continent. Kill him without mercy. If anyone can kill this Master Mateto, they will immediately get a generous reward. They will be promoted to nobility. He wanted Master Mateto to be wanted in the entire continent and proposed a shocking reward. Even if this extraterrestrial fiend was very good at hiding, under the power of Soul Palace he couldn't hide. As long as this extraterrestrial fiend dared to show his head and reveal his identity, he would definitely die in the encirclement of countless experts in the Blood Soul continent. He would be beaten to death with sticks. There was absolutely no reason for him to survive. As the Soul Palace's palace master, it could be said that he almost controlled the entire Blood Soul continent's power and military power. With a single order, hundreds of millions of troops would be mobilized, and the entire continent would boil. Once this Master Mateto showed his head in the Blood Soul continent, he would definitely die. Yes, Palace Master. We must kill Master Mateto. For Palace Master's work, we will definitely sacrifice our lives. Many Soul Palace elders roared. They felt the same way and expressed that they would definitely catch this arrogant Master Mateto to avenge the Palace Master's son. Let alone the fact that the extraterrestrial fiend Master Mateto was a murderer that everyone should kill. Just the fact that he killed so many elites of the Soul Clan was already a capital crime. This debt of blood must be paid with blood. Immediately, countless cities in the Blood Soul continent received the news of the extraterrestrial fiend Master Mateto being wanted. Many experts also knew this earth-shattering information. Chapter 1149. I actually met other people who came to the Blood Soul continent. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He did not expect such a coincidence. There were relatively few people who entered the Blood Soul continent for missions. After all, the death rate had scared many people. Moreover, the Blood Soul continent was so huge that it was scattered all over the place. It was very difficult to meet each other, even if one wanted to. Usually, one would not meet other people when carrying out missions. However, he did not expect to meet 3 or 4 universal martial artists in this place so coincidentally. Those few people obviously saw the appearance of Xiaoping and Lu Rulan, and were instantly overjoyed. They thought that reinforcements had arrived. However, after taking a closer look, Xiaoping and Lu Rulan only had fulfillment realm cultivation, just like them. Such strength, in the face of 20 black-toothed wolves, was just a drop in the bucket. It was useless. Roar! At this moment, the black-toothed wolves behind them roared angrily. They thought that these damned humans had come to rescue them again. Their eyes were bloodshot and cruel. They were excited because they thought that they had more food. Their speed of pursuit was even more shocking. They set off a monstrous gale, and the wind pressure was shocking. The trees around them were crushed into pieces. Kill them. Xiaoping did not take action. Instead, he ordered Lu Rulan. There was no need for him to take action against such ferocious beasts. Lu Rulan stood out. She formed a seal with her hands, and immediately used the Soul Clan's secret mental technique. Soul Shock Skill. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying mental shock exploded from her body. It was as if it had caused a resonance between heaven and earth, and bombarded the group of black-toothed wolves. The black-toothed wolves immediately let out shrill cries. They felt as if their heads had been hit by a heavy hammer. Even their souls were trembling. After a few bangs, they could not withstand such a shock at all. Their internal organs were severely damaged, and even their brains were severely damaged. After a few breaths, the black-toothed wolves fell to the ground, spat out a mouthful of blood, and died suddenly. More than 20 black-toothed wolves were killed just like that. So powerful. The few young men were dumbfounded and could not believe their eyes. They were all cultivators of the same realm, but the black-toothed wolves chased them like stray dogs. However, they were extremely fragile in front of this woman. She killed all the black-toothed wolves with just one blow. I've become stronger. Lu Rulan was satisfied with the effect that she had created. If she had not met Xiaoping, she would not have been able to deal with more than 20 black-toothed wolves. But after traveling with Xiaoping, she had been constantly eating vicious beast meat, strengthening her physique. Because of your name, we thought of a big event that happened in the 5 major star areas under the jurisdiction of our Lingyun sect. A big event? What's the big event? Xiaoping showed a confused look. It's like this. Recently, a super liar appeared in the 5 major star areas of our Lingyun sect. He is called the Invincible Swindler. Yes, this liar is shameless. He is quite shameless. His skin is thicker than a chopping board. He likes to deceive noble children and cheated them of tens of millions of universe dollars. What's even more hateful is that recently, this bastard has become worse. A few months ago, he appeared in the virtual city and set up a shocking scam. He cheated more than $1 billion universe dollars, and the number of victims reached millions. This matter became the headlines that day. Who knows how many people want to find him for revenge, but now he doesn't dare to show up. He has been missing for a long time. Yes, I have a relative who was cheated of hundreds of thousands of universe dollars by this bastard. He bought a lot of fake shoes, and now he can only eat instant noodles every day. He hates that invincible swindler. Every day, he pokes little people to curse him. Chang Xian and the others chattered. When they talked about invincible swindler, they hated him to the core. Cheated more than $1 billion universe dollars? That's amazing. It's really a big swindler. Xiaoping nodded and felt the same. Such a swindler should be punished by everyone. Isn't that so? So when we heard your name, brother, it was a little similar to that swindler. We thought you were his brother, and it almost scared us. But thinking about it carefully, there's no such coincidence. I almost misunderstood you just now. I'm really sorry. Chang Xian laughed. Chapter 1150. However, Brother Wu, don't blame me for talking too much. Chang Xian's eyes flickered as he stared at Lu Rulan, who was next to Xiaoping. If I'm not wrong, this lady isn't from our universe. She's from the Soul Clan. The other 3 looked at Lu Rulan too. Lu Rulan was unhappy with their gazes. She snorted coldly but didn't say anything. That's right. She's not a martial artist from the universe, but a lady from the Soul Clan. Xiaoping admitted generously. When I landed earlier, I subdued her. She's my slave now. Don't worry. She can't do anything now. Slave. Chang Xian and the rest were instantly envious. They could tell that Lu Rulan was of the highest quality. If she wasn't born in the Blood Soul mainland, but in the universe, she would probably be a saintess of a large sect. She had a noble and holy aura, a tall and sexy body, and a perfect face. She was of the highest quality. She was the goddess that many men dreamed of. However, she had become this brat's slave. One could imagine what this brat did to her every night. He was probably exhausted. Brother Wu, this lady from the Soul clan doesn't look simple. How did you subdue her? Wang Chen asked curiously. They didn't dare to underestimate Lu Rulan after the previous scene. She killed more than 20 black-toothed wolves in one move. Her strength was extremely terrifying. Even if they fought together, they wouldn't be a match for this lady from the Soul clan. If they couldn't control her, she wouldn't be a goddess but a she-devil. They would be afraid that this lady would chop off their heads when they slept. They wouldn't be able to sleep well. There's no secret. It's just that we fall in love over time, Xia Ping said casually and shared his experience. Hi. Brother, you're amazing. There's a double meaning in your words. Wang Chun and the rest gave him a thumbs up. They were impressed and jealous. As expected, this brat had already fucked such a beauty from the Soul clan. They didn't know how many positions this bastard made this beauty perform at night. They were far behind compared to him. They had to stay in the forest and be chased by beasts while this brat had a beauty as his companion. His days were so comfortable. But to be honest, I don't like such a lady. The highest quality in this world isn't a lady but a boy. Xia Ping revealed an unfathomable look. How so? Wang Chun and the rest asked curiously. Think about it. Young mistress is an experienced woman. When you pat her butt, she knows to change positions. When you lie down, she knows to sit down. When you stand up, she knows to kneel down. When you kneel down, she knows to pout. Xia Ping shook his head. But young girls, if you pat her butt, she'll turn around and yell. Are you crazy? Why did you hit me for no reason? This is the difference between a young girl and a young man. It's still a long way off. He lamented for a long time. Brother, you're the real expert. You have penetrating insight. Just how many women did he fuck to have such knowledge? We're all convinced. Please allow us to respectfully call you Big Brother. Chang Xian and others were full of admiration. They didn't know how many women the Master Mateto brothers had to have such knowledge. For rookies like them, they really didn't know how far the naked man was from them. This was the difference in life experience. They couldn't be compared. Beast pervert. Hearing this, Lu Rulan blushed and spat at Xia Ping in her heart. As expected of an extraterrestrial fiend, he couldn't get away from that kind of thing. He only thought about such shameless things all day. If this bastard man's head was split open, it was guaranteed that the word woman would be all over it. A beast that only thought with the lower half of his body. Why didn't such an evil creature get struck by lightning a few times? You're too polite. It's just some insignificant knowledge. It's not worth mentioning. Xia Ping waved his hand. Big Brother Mateto, since everyone is so congenial, then we don't want to hide anything. Chang Xian said in a deep voice. Actually, we came to this place with a purpose. Purpose? What purpose? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Chang Xian said. Previously, we received news that a soul stone mine appeared nearby. However, it's heavily guarded by the Soul Hall. If it's just one person, it's impossible to break through. However, if our universe's warriors unite and gather helpers, then we'll have a chance to break through the Soul Stone mine, kill these Soul Clan natives, and snatch the Soul Stones. That way, we'll be able to complete the mission, obtain the Soul Stones, and leave this godforsaken place. He stated the purpose of his group's visit. What? Xia Ping was shocked. He initially thought that he and Lu Rulan were the only ones who knew about the Soul Stone mine. He didn't expect the news to be so widespread. It was strange that Chang Xian and the rest knew about it too. Lu Rulan was dumbfounded too. She didn't know what was going on either. The Soul Stone mine was supposed to be an extremely confidential matter. However, why did the extraterrestrial fiends know about it now? She was in a state of confusion and had no idea what was going on. Could it be that Huining City's Soul Hall Master accidentally leaked the news to the extraterrestrial fiends? At that moment, she felt very complicated. How did you receive the news? Xiaoping asked. A senior from the Guiyuan sect told us. Chang Xian said honestly. We accidentally bumped into each other. In the end, the senior from the Guiyuan sect wanted to gather many experts to plan something big. He wants to destroy the Soul Stone mine and snatch the Soul Stones. In reality, the senior has already gathered the Soaring Cloud sect, 5 Elemental sect, Flying Celestial sect, Guiyuan sect, and the other sections. They've gathered together. There are 100 of them, and they're waiting for the day to attack the Soul Stone mine. This time, we're planning to head to that location and meet up with our seniors and juniors. Xiaoping knew that the Soaring Cloud sect, 5 Elemental sect, Flying Celestial sect, and Guiyuan sect were the few sage sects in the nearby universe. Both parties were equally powerful. Furthermore, dangerous missions such as the Blood Soul Continent were usually completed in groups. It was rare for a person to fight alone like Lin Huang. If the seniors and juniors helped and supported each other, the success rate of the mission would be much higher. At the same time, they carried communication devices with them. Even if they were far away, they could still contact each other without worrying about losing each other's traces. Oh yes, Brother Wu. What do you think? Are you willing to join our plan to attack the Soul Stone mine? Chang Xian and the rest looked at Xiaoping in anticipation. Xiaoping thought for a while and said, No problem. With everyone's help, I believe the danger of completing the mission will be greatly reduced. There's no reason not to participate in such a good thing. That's great. With Brother Wu joining us, our power will definitely increase greatly. Chang Xian and the rest were delighted. They would not underestimate Xiaoping. To be able to tame such a powerful lady from the Soul clan, one could imagine how powerful he was. Chapter 1151. Deep within the forest in a remote campsite. Many tents had appeared in this place. They were all brought over by the universe's martial artists as a temporary place to camp. The largest tent was the size of a house, and many people were gathered there at the moment. At that moment, Chang Xian and the other Soaring Cloud sect disciples brought Xiaoping and Lu Rulan over. They had traveled a long distance and ran for a full 2 hours before arriving. This is where the extraterrestrial demons gather. Lu Rulan followed Xiaoping, feeling nervous. She had never been to such a terrifying place in her life. There were extraterrestrial demons everywhere, and it was basically a gathering place for demons. If there was even the slightest mistake, he would probably die and his Tao would disappear. Fortunately, Xiaoping was there to hold the fort. Otherwise, she would not have dared to come to such a terrifying place. Of course, without Xiaoping, she would not have known that such a gathering place existed. However, the atmosphere was heavy at the moment. Many of them were staring at Xiaoping and Lu Rulan with a mocking look on their faces. Chang Xian, what's the meaning of this? The one who spoke was a young man in a white robe. He said, We noticed that you're disciples of the Soaring Cloud sect, so you're more or less capable. That's why we invited you to do this business. But you brought 2 strangers here. One of them is a powerless wandering cultivator, and the other is a native of the Blood Soul mainland. Are you fucking kidding me? He was a disciple of the returning Cloud sect. His name was Feng Zhe, and he was at the peak of the fulfillment realm. He spoke arrogantly. The others were disciples of the Soaring Cloud sect, the returning Cloud sect, the Flying Celestial sect, and the 5 Elements sect. They were all from famous righteous sects, and they had powerful forces backing them up. Moreover, they were all powerful and confident in themselves to dare to participate in the Blood Soul mainland's mission. Feng Zhe, please believe me. Brother Wu is a wandering cultivator, but he's not weak. He'll be of great help to our mission, Chang Xian hurriedly explained. Benefits my ass. Feng Zhe sneered. We're all disciples from famous righteous sections. He's the only wandering cultivator who can't even join a sect. What kind of strength does a piece of trash like him have? Truth be told, we have over 100 of us, all of whom are at least Fulfillment Realm and 7 or 8 early Divine Tier cultivators. Why don't you tell us how we'll benefit from this brat joining us? His attitude was very arrogant, and it was obvious that he had a great prejudice against Xiaoping, who was a wandering cultivator. His contempt was obvious. In the universe, the disparity between levels was even stricter. If one was a rogue cultivator, they would be seen as someone without any strength or background, and anyone could bully them. To put it in an exaggerated way, individual cultivators were basically jobless, equivalent to beggars without a university degree. They could only do some manual labor to support themselves. Apart from that, they had no other skills. As for those who came from a prestigious sect, they were equivalent to students who had graduated from a prestigious university. How could such people treat unemployed people differently? It's not beneficial to us, but it's beneficial to him. Originally, it would have been extremely difficult for him to complete the missions of the Blood Soul mainland by himself. However, after joining us, he'll be able to ride on our coattails and rise rapidly. He wants to cling to our thighs, but whether or not we let him is another matter. If he kneels down and kowtows, maybe I'll consider it. Many people sneered. They crossed their arms in front of their chests and looked at Xiaoping mockingly. You, Chang Xian, and the others were very angry. They did not expect that they would be looked down upon and ridiculed by this group of people who had kindly brought an expert to join them. Chang Xian, for the sake of the Soaring Clouds sect, I can temporarily let go of this matter. However, it's a little too much for you to let a rogue cultivator join us and drag us down. This is not a game of house, but a battle of life and death. If we're not careful, we'll all die. That's right. Moreover, he has a native of the Blood Soul mainland with him. Although she's a slave, who knows if she'll leak the news to other natives of the Blood Soul mainland. Once the news gets out, we'll all be finished. A person who suddenly appeared out of nowhere is not trustworthy at all. Several people shouted, expressing that they did not accept Xiaoping joining them. To them, not only did this kid have no strength, but he also posed a great risk. No matter how they looked at it, they felt that Xiaoping joining them would not bring them any benefits. On the contrary, there were many disadvantages. Scram! Fengzhe waved his hand as if he was shooing away a fly. Don't stay here. You're an eyesore. Being with someone like you is simply polluting the air here. Brother Wu, Chang Xian, and the others looked at Xiaoping apologetically. They had initially wanted to bring Xiaoping into the team out of goodwill, but they did not expect something like this to happen and Xiaoping to be humiliated. It's all right. Since you don't want me to join, I won't join you. It's no big deal. Xiaoping looked indifferent. He was not affected at all. True strength came from himself. The contempt of others could not hurt him at all. To him, meeting this team was just an accident. Since they did not want him to join and their attitude was very unfriendly, there was no need for him to stay in this place. He turned to leave with Lu Rulan as he thought about this. Wait, kid. You can leave, but the woman beside you has to stay, Fengzhe suddenly said. He looked at Lu Rulan maliciously with a greedy look in his eyes. The few young men around him snickered. What? Chang Xian, and the others were shocked as they looked at Fengzhe in disbelief. They knew what Fengzhe was planning right away. He obviously had his eyes on the woman beside Xiaoping and wanted to snatch her. Lu Rulan's heart skipped a beat. She had been on high alert just now. She did not expect an accident to happen after hearing that she could leave. She was stopped on the spot. With so many extraterritorial demons present, it would be difficult for her to escape even if she wanted to. What do you mean? Xiaoping stopped in his tracks and turned to look at Fengzhe. He squinted his eyes and revealed a dangerous aura. I mean exactly what I said. This woman is a native of the Blood Soul mainland and is also our enemy. Who knows if she'll leak the news to other natives? Fengzhe said matter-of-factly. Therefore, to prevent the news from leaking in any accidents, she has to stay here. She can only be returned to you after this mission is over. The others were watching the show. They knew what would happen if Lu Rulan was really left here for a night. Chapter 1152. Fengzhe, you've crossed the line. Chang Xian stood up angrily. He had brought Xiaoping and Lu Rulan to this place, only for them to encounter such a thing. He felt that he had a duty to stop this from happening. Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Fengzhe struck like a gust of wind, landing a punch on Chang Xian's abdomen. Ah! Chang Xian did not expect Fengzhe to strike, so he was caught off guard. As a result, Feng's attack landed on him. A strong force exploded in his body, causing him to scream in pain. In the next second he fell to the ground. His body curled up like a cooked prawn. Every nerve in his body was hurting, and blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Bastard! Wang Chun, Wei Qi, and Jin Zhe were both shocked and enraged. Just as they were about to attack, a dozen or so people stepped forward, all of whom were on Feng's side, glaring at them like tigers watching their prey. Immediately, they did not dare to make a move. If they did, they would definitely be surrounded by this group of people. Moreover, this was the Blood Soul mainland. If they died here, even the sects would not be able to find the murderer, and no one would avenge them. After all, there were too many sect's disciples who had died in the Blood Soul mainland. What a noisy guy. You want to stand up for that lone cultivator? Why don't you look at yourself first? Feng Zhi smirked. Without the support of the Lingyun sect, you're just a piece of trash. Get out of here. If you make me angry, I'll kill you later. Chang Xian was furious. His face was red, but there was nothing he could do. Feng Zhi had a lot of people here. Even if he wanted to fight back, there was nothing he could do. He could only glare at Feng Zhi. What are you looking at? How dare you look at me? You're not happy. You don't know what's good for you. Feng Zhi's eyes flashed with coldness. His murderous intent rose. Immediately he raised his leg and channeled his mana. Like a wild elephant stomping on the ground, he stomped towards Chang Xian. Oh no! Wang Chun and the others' expressions changed. They could feel that Feng Zhi was serious. His attack was filled with murderous intent. If they were stepped on, even if they did not die, they would be severely injured on the spot. But now, even if they wanted to go and rescue, it was too late. There was no time to stop them. Chang Xian's face was ashen. He wanted to dodge, but the punch just now had left him powerless. He couldn't move his body for a short period of time, so it was impossible for him to dodge. Just at that moment, a figure flashed past like lightning, arriving before Feng Zhi. Gently lifting his leg, the figure collided with Feng Zhi's leg. The two forces collided intensely. Dong! Immediately, a terrifying gust of wind appeared in the surroundings, condensing into a solid substance. It swept in all directions like the waves of the sea, raising gusts of wind and rolling sand. The surrounding people all felt the terror of this strong wind, and seemed to be unable to stand steadily. Master Mateto! Someone cried out in alarm. He had seen the true face of this figure. It was the rogue cultivator martial tycoon from before. He had chosen to take action at the crucial moment to block in front of Feng Zhi. It was this kick that stopped Feng Zhi's actions. Otherwise, Chang Xian would have been severely injured. Many people were shocked. They didn't expect that this kid would dare to stop them. Master Mateto, what do you want to do? Why do you want to stop me? I just want to cripple him with one kick. Feng Zhi's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. He stared at Xia Ping, and exuded a terrible murderous aura. This is impossible. He is my friend. With me here you can't cripple him. Xia Ping looked at Feng Zhi indifferently. Interesting. Then I will cripple you first. Feng Zhi shouted. Unique skill, soul-breaking kick. In an instant, Feng Zhi retracted his right foot, and then suddenly lifted it up. All the spiritual power in his body gathered on his right foot. Then, it exploded in an instant, producing an extremely terrifying force. Indistinctly, there was the sound of ghosts wailing and wolves howling in the surrounding void, as if countless ghosts were roaring. This was one of the king-level peerless rank unique skills of the Gui Yuan sect. With one kick, it had an unpredictable power. Even a big mountain could be kicked in half. It could be said that the power of this kick had almost fully exerted the power of Feng Zhi's body. It was not comparable to the kick just now. This was the peak of the fulfillment realm. It had the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. So strong. Chang Xian and the others were shocked. Although Feng Zhi's attitude was arrogant, extremely arrogant and ruthless, it was undeniable that Feng Zhi's strength was definitely stronger among the fulfillment realm cultivators. Among the many fulfillment realm cultivators, there were only a few who could defeat Feng Zhi. They did not have any confidence to defeat Feng Zhi. This kid is dead for sure. He actually dared to stop Brother Feng. He is simply courting death. The surrounding people were sneering, as if they were watching a show. They seemed to have seen the end of this Master Potato. They estimated that with just one kick, that kid would be crippled directly. However, who asked him to dare to stand up for others without any ability? Wasn't this seeking his own death? In the face of such a terrifying kick, Xiaoping still did not move. He just stood quietly in the same place with incomparably calm eyes. Dong! This kick landed on Xiaoping's body fiercely. The power of the soul-breaking kick exploded completely. What? Fengzhe originally wanted to show a ferocious expression, thinking that this damn rogue cultivator would be kicked to death by him. However, when this kick landed on Xiaoping's body, his expression changed greatly. Because he felt that layers of qi cover appeared on this kid's body. When the tyrannical force bombarded on the surface, it was like hitting on cotton, and was weakened layer by layer. In the end, his force became invisible. This feeling was extremely uncomfortable. It seemed that whatever he did was useless, and could not hurt this kid at all. Oh no! Fengzhe's expression changed greatly, because he felt that Xiaoping's fist moved. Although it was launched later, it arrived first. A whirlpool-like magic power gathered in his right fist. The air vibrated as if it had the power to shake mountains. Every cell in his body was trembling. The aura of death spread throughout his body. Every nerve was tingling. A desperate danger seemed to surround his body. Dong! The fist hit Fengzhe's body. The qi cover on his body was instantly torn apart like a piece of paper. The spiral fist force penetrated into his body and seeped into his internal organs. Ah! Fengzhe let out a shrill scream. His body was bent, and he was hit out like a ball. With a bang, his whole body was hit into the ground. In an instant, a deep pit with a diameter of several kilometers appeared in the ground. The surrounding tents were shaken into powder by the powerful force. Those who were watching the show were scared half to death. They retreated one after another to avoid the aftermath of this punch. Trees were uprooted by the strong wind. They flew into the air, and then were smashed by the strong wind. Puff! Chapter 1153. Brother Feng. Seeing that Fengzhe had been punched to the ground, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive, the two Gui Yuan sect disciples were shocked. They looked at Xiaoping with killing intent in their eyes. How dare you hurt Brother Feng? Go to hell. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Kill him immediately. The two looked at each other and instantly attacked. One from the left and one from the right, as fast as lightning. Get lost. Xiaoping didn't even look at them. He raised his hand and punched Black Vortex Ripple Fist. Immediately, the air in the air rippled like a ripple, passing layer by layer. The power stacked layer by layer and kept increasing. Ah! The two's eyes showed fear. They found that their fist force seemed to be swallowed by this whirlpool, leaving nothing behind. Even their bodies were controlled. In the next second, the fist force penetrated, and their bodies were immediately sent flying. It was as if they were struck by lightning. The terrifying ripple power directly injured their internal organs. With a bang, they smashed into the ground like soccer balls, sliding across the ground for 2 to 3 kilometers, before finally being blasted into a small hill. A human-shaped hole was formed from the impact, and rubble flew in all directions. The two also foamed at the mouth and immediately fainted. They no longer had the strength to fight. Oh my God! The 3 disciples of Gui Yuan sect were beaten. Are you kidding? Who is the disciple of a big sect? How can this Master Potato be so powerful? Yeah, isn't he a wandering cultivator? And he is only at the early stage of the fulfillment realm. He can't be Fengzhe's opponent, but now he has become like this? Is this Fengzhe a fake? He is actually not that powerful. Bullshit. Don't you know whether Fengzhe is powerful or not? There is no doubt about his strength. But if this is the case, then what is Master Potato who defeated Fengzhe? Everyone was shocked and dumbfounded. They couldn't believe what they saw. The disciple of a big sect, Fengzhe, was actually beaten by this wandering cultivator, who they looked down on. Even the 2 disciples of Gui Yuan sect tried to sneak attack together, but they were beaten by one punch, and had no strength to fight back. This combat power was simply beyond their imagination. Since when did loose cultivators become so powerful? Previously, they despised this kid, thinking that he was just a waste who hugged their thighs. If Master Mateto, who defeated Fengzhe, was a waste, then they who were inferior to Fengzhe were even worse than waste. Big Brother Wu is really amazing. Wang Chun and the others were extremely excited. They already knew that Xia Ping was an unfathomable martial artist, but before they saw him, they couldn't be sure how powerful Xia Ping was. When they saw Xia Ping's true strength, they were all stunned like everyone else. They were all fulfillment realm cultivators, but Xia Ping was much stronger than them. He didn't seem to be from the same dimension as them. Lu Rilan's expression was very calm, because she had been with Xia Ping for more than a month. She knew very well how abnormal this man was. Even at her peak, she was no match for this man. However, she sighed inwardly. Looks like there's a huge gap between the fiend devils as well. Not every single one of them was as strong as this idiot. There's a difference in their levels as well. Pa. Xia Ping stepped forward and looked at Fengzhe condescendingly, just like that. Damn bastard, how dare you beat me up like this? Fengzhe struggled and stared at Xia Ping with hatred like a wounded beast. Just you wait. Offending the Guiyuan sect won't end well for you. I'll kill you later. I'll kill you. He roared crazily. He was beaten by Xia Ping with one punch, and in front of so many people. This made him lose all his face, and he was greatly humiliated. Such a humiliation could only be washed away with blood. I guess you won't see that day because you have to die now. Xia Ping's tone was very indifferent and calm, but it was so calm that it made the people around feel scared. Especially Fengzhe. He felt cold all over his body, as if the temperature had dropped to -30 degrees. Even the water vapor in the air was about to be frozen. He knew that this kid wasn't joking. He really wanted to kill him. At this time, he was finally afraid. His whole body was trembling, and he shouted, "Senior brother Fan, quick come and save me. Someone wants to kill me. He wants to kill your junior brother." He shouted for help, and his voice traveled for miles. Want to ask for help? No one can save you. Xia Ping said lightly. Fengzhe shouted, "Master Mateto, are you crazy? What is your identity and what is my identity? If you dare to kill me, you will definitely become the enemy of the Guiyuan sect. At that time, even if you leave the Blood Soul continent, there will be no place for you in the whole universe. There will be no place for you. Think about the consequences carefully." He threatened Xia Ping, using both carrot and stick, hoping to scare Xia Ping with the identity of the Guiyuan sect. Become the enemy of the Guiyuan sect? You think too highly of yourself. Believe it or not, even if I kill you, the Guiyuan sect will not deal with me. You can only die in vain, and no one will shed a tear for you. Xia Ping sneered. Fengzhe's whole body was cold. He knew that Master Mateto's words were not empty words. Although he was a disciple of the Guiyuan sect, the problem was that the Guiyuan sect had too many disciples. There were billions of them. So what if one died? If he was a disciple of a sage, his identity would be different. But unfortunately, he was just an ordinary disciple. He could not make the Guiyuan sect make a big fuss over his death. Fellow Taoists, please have mercy. At this time, a voice came from afar. Immediately, a white-robed man with a long sword on his back flew in the air. He exuded an abyss-like aura. This person had the cultivation of the divine realm. He had the power to suppress everything. Senior brother Fan Ming, hurry. Come here and kill this audacious bastard. Kill him immediately. Seeing that this person appeared and had a huge backing, Fengzhe was overjoyed. He immediately became arrogant and roared. Just now, he actually dared to threaten me. He is arrogant. He thinks that there is no one in the Guiyuan sect. If I don't kill him, my Guiyuan sect will lose face. He was as calm as Mount Tai. With the support of a divine realm cultivator, he was not afraid of anything. Die. Xia Ping didn't even look. He pointed his finger and aimed at Fengzhe's forehead. Damn kid, what are you trying to do? Quickly stop. You dare to kill my Guiyuan sect's disciple. The white-robed man saw Xia Ping's action, and his expression changed. But he was too far away from Xia Ping. Even if he had the cultivation of the divine realm, he couldn't stop it in time. You. Fengzhe was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that his senior brother of the Gui Yuan sect would appear. There was a divine realm cultivator here to suppress everyone. But this kid still dared to make a move. With a thud, the energy instantly pierced through his forehead. Poochie! In the next second, blood splattered everywhere. A bloody hole appeared on his forehead. Blood dripped down. His eyes were wide open, but the depths of his pupils quickly lost its spirit. Chapter 1154. This. It can't be Fengzhu is dead? Killed by Master Potato with a finger. Too arrogant, simply too arrogant. He even dared to kill a Gui Yuan sect disciple. Is he crazy? And it was in front of a divine realm cultivator. He is seeking his own death. Crazy, this guy is simply crazy. He doesn't want to live anymore. Everyone was stunned. No matter how rich their imagination was, they completely did not expect such a ridiculous thing to happen. A dignified Gui Yuan sect disciple died on the spot. Moreover, it was in front of a divine realm cultivator, in front of many Gui Yuan sect disciples. His head was pierced by a finger, extinguishing Fengzhu's life. Oh my God! Chang Xian and the others were also completely stunned. They all felt that Xiaoping was simply a mess, simply lawless, unscrupulous. He even dared to kill a Gui Yuan sect disciple. It was too exaggerated. Even if there was such a chance, they would not dare to do so. After all, killing a Gui Yuan sect disciple in front of such a matter was simply not a trivial matter. It would definitely cause a huge uproar. Most importantly, there was a divine tier cultivator backing Fengzhu up. Who would dare kill a divine tier cultivator right in front of him? Wasn't that a slap to the divine tier cultivator's face? If a divine realm cultivator was angry, this kid would definitely die without a burial place. How could a mere fulfillment realm cultivator be a match for a divine realm cultivator? He would be killed in an instant. Whoosh! At this moment, the white-robed man Fan Ming also rushed over from afar. He floated down from the sky, seeing that Fengzhu was already killed. His face was extremely ugly like charcoal. Master Potato. Fan Ming stared at Xiaoping with a murderous look. Didn't I tell you to stop? You actually dared to directly kill junior brother Fengzhu in front of me. How dare you? His body was filled with terrifying murderous intent. He felt that he had lost all his face. He clearly told this kid not to hurt his junior brother. But his words were ignored. This made him feel extremely embarrassed. Now he was filled with anger. You want me to stop? I have to stop? Who do you think you are? If I want to kill someone, no one can save him. Xiaoping sneered, standing with his hands behind his back. He didn't take Fan Ming seriously at all. Even if this kid was a transcendent realm cultivator with formidable strength, he didn't put Fan Ming in his eyes at all. If they wanted to make a move on him, then come and fight to the death. Who's afraid of who? What? Fan Ming was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. This itinerant cultivator was even more arrogant than him. A disciple of the Gui Yuan sect. He was extremely condescending. Looking at the attitudes of both sides, it was impossible to tell who was the disciple of the big sect, and who was the itinerant cultivator. Good, very good. If that's the case, then you can pay with your life for junior brother Fengzhu. Fan Ming was so angry that he started laughing. It's over. The expressions of Chang Xian and the others changed drastically. They had completely angered a divine tier cultivator. This was simply an imminent disaster. This was even more terrifying than offending Fengzhu. If they angered a divine tier cultivator, they would not be able to escape even if they wanted to. They would definitely die. Alright, junior brother Fan Ming, stop. All of a sudden, a figure appeared in front of Fan Ming, preventing him from making a move. Senior brother Chen Wei. Everyone was overjoyed. When they saw the man in gray robes appear, they were relieved. This man was the leader who had gathered them, Chen Wei. Although he was also a disciple of the Gui Yuan sect, there was no doubt that he had a high prestige. Many people trusted him, and he was fair in doing things. He did not have an arrogant attitude, and treated people like a spring breeze. He was different from the others. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He was already prepared to make a move, but now it seemed that there was something wrong. He did not make a move and stood quietly at the side, watching the situation unfold. Senior brother Chen, He killed junior brother Fengjie and insulted the Gui Yuan sect. Are you trying to stop me? Fan Ming was very angry. Chen Wei stood with his hands behind his back. Junior brother Fan Ming. I've seen what happened just now. This is junior brother Fengjie's fault. What he did was too much and he deserved it. Now he deserves to be killed. He can't blame anyone else. It can only be said that this was his fate and bad luck. If you still want to make a move and break the unity here, then I'll fight you right here. He clearly wanted to protect Xia Ping and take full responsibility for this matter. He actually let this kid go. This kid killed a disciple of the Gui Yuan sect. How can he let him go and stand up for him? This is too exaggerated. As expected of senior brother Chun, nicknamed Saint Mother Chun, he is too broad-minded and righteous. But a good person who is too rotten won't live long in the universe. Who cares? It's good to have such a good person. At least we don't need to worry about working with him. That's right. We can only be at ease working with such a person. Everyone was discussing and were very surprised. They felt that this Master Potato should not be related to Chen Wei. Why would he stop Fan Ming? They all felt that it was incredible. However, Chang Xian and the others were very grateful. With such a person appearing, it was like saving their lives. Okay, senior brother Chen. Since you said so, then I will let him go for now. I hope that he will not fall into my hands in the future. Fan Ming's face was gloomy. He coldly snorted and looked deeply at Xia Ping, then turned around and left. He also knew that with Chen Wei here, he couldn't do anything to Xia Ping. I'm sorry, brother Potato. My Gui Yuan sect actually produced such a scum and almost hurt you. This is my Gui Yuan sect's fault. Please let me apologize on behalf of the Gui Yuan sect. Chen Wei bowed towards Xia Ping. Everyone was shocked. They had never seen such a thing. A transcendent realm cultivator actually bowed to a fulfillment realm cultivator. This was too ridiculous. However, Xia Ping looked like he could bear it. He waved his hand and said, "It's okay. Just be careful in the future. Such scum will die in my hands." What? The surrounding people had a strange expression. They felt that this kid was too arrogant. Chen Wei stood up for him and wanted to reconcile with him, but he said such words. He mocked the Gui Yuan sect for producing scum. It was like slapping Chen Wei's face. However, Chen Wei didn't seem to understand the meaning of Xia Ping's words. He still smiled and said, "It's good if brother Potato is not angry. I hope you won't have a bad impression of our Gui Yuan sect because of this and leave this place. I feel that it is our honor to have brother Potato join this operation." He wanted to persuade Xia Ping to stay and not leave this operation because of this. Chapter 1155. I believe Brother Wu isn't the only one who's curious about this. Everyone is curious too. Chen Wei smiled and looked at the people around him. I was going to tell you guys later, but since you guys asked, I'll tell you guys now. He took out a transparent glass bottle that seemed to contain red mist. He continued, "This bottle contains a poisonous mist called red mist. I believe everyone knows how powerful this poisonous mist is. Once a living being breathes in a tiny bit of red mist, they'll be unconscious for 3 days and 3 nights. They won't wake up no matter what. If I use this poisonous mist tomorrow, I'll be able to knock out most of the natives. By then, it'll be a piece of cake for us to kill those natives." He revealed his plan. What? Everyone was overjoyed. They had also heard of a poisonous fog like the red mist before. Legend had it that it came from a highly toxic planet and was extremely valuable. Even a golden elixir realm cultivator would not be able to withstand a whiff of it. However, it was just too rare and priceless. Regular martial artists would not be able to find it even if they wanted to. It was not a high-level item that could be bought with money. Lu Rilon was secretly shocked. These extraterrestrial devils were terrifying indeed. They actually had such a terrifying item. She felt that the power of extraterrestrial devils was unfathomable. If you have red mist, wouldn't you be able to kill all the natives there? Why do you need our help? Xia Ping raised his brows. Of course there's a reason, Chen Wei said. Although I have red mist with me, the problem is that there's too little of it. It can't cover the entire mine. Even if I use it, I'm sure some of the natives will survive. Even if there's only a few of them left, It'll be difficult for us to kill them all with this force alone. We might even suffer heavy casualties when they fight back before they die. To prevent that from happening, we'd like to invite all of you here to help us plan something big. Of course, I've sacrificed a lot too, so I must take the biggest share of the loot. He explained his reasons in detail. I see. I didn't expect Brother Chen to have a reason like that. If we have the red mist, we'll definitely win. There's no room for error. As for Big Brother Chen taking the lead, that's only natural. Without Big Brother Chen's red mist, how could we have gotten rid of those natives unscathed and obtained the soul stones? Although the plan hasn't started yet, I can already see the signs of success. Thank you, Big Brother Chen, for giving us a chance to obtain the soul stone. We can't thank you enough. Everyone was moved to tears and full of confidence. They felt that their plan had basically succeeded. The enemy was in the light while they were in the dark, and they even had a great killing weapon. How could it not succeed? Chang Xian and the others were incomparably excited. Originally, the success rate of their mission was very low and extremely difficult. However, with Chen Wei's help, it was as easy as flipping a hand. Brother Wu, do you have any other questions? Chen Wei looked at Xia Ping. The others also looked at Xia Ping with unfriendly expressions. If Xia Ping continued to nitpick, then he would simply be looking for trouble. In that case, he couldn't blame them for being impolite. Xia Ping shook his head. No, he did not continue to speak. Although he was somewhat puzzled, he did not say anything. All right, it's getting late now. It's almost time for dinner. When I went out just now, I happened to hunt quite a number of fierce beasts. I think everyone should be able to eat their fill. Chen Wei waved his hand and immediately took out the corpses of 5 fierce beasts from his spatial ring. An hour later, they moved their campsite to another place and set up their tents. Everyone entered the same tent, and a large amount of cooked fierce beast meat was carried out. Many people ate the delicious food excitedly. Brother Wu, thank you for helping me just now. If not for you, I would have died just now. Chang Xian looked at Xia Ping gratefully. You're welcome. It was because of me that you encountered such a situation just now. Xia Ping waved his hand. Chang Xian sighed. Fortunately, Senior Brother Chen appeared. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. That's right. Without Chen Wei, who knows how bad the situation would have become. Feng Zhu and Fan Ming are both despicable people. I didn't expect Chen Wei to be so broad-minded. We are all disciples of the Gui Yuan sect. But why is there such a big difference between us? As the saying goes, the dragon gives birth to 9 sons. Each of them is different. In short, we are lucky to have met Senior Brother Chen Wei. Don't talk about it. Let's hurry up and eat. This kind of fierce beast meat is very rare. It contains pure blood energy. It is very beneficial for our cultivation. Wang Chen and the others slurped down on the fierce beast meat. They planned to eat until they were full, so that they would have enough physical strength to deal with the battle tomorrow. Xia Ping also planned to eat, but suddenly his bloodline throbbed. He seemed to have sensed that there was something wrong with the fierce beast meat. He immediately hesitated. Xia Ping, be careful. The aura here is a bit strange. Corinne's voice suddenly came out. His tone was very solemn. What do you mean? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Corinne said, just now, I used the exploration system to detect the composition of the surrounding air. I discovered that the air of this place is filled with the fragrance of a dream dew flower. There is indeed a trace of a faintly discernible fragrance. So there is nothing wrong with it. Xia Ping looked around from the corner of his eyes. He discovered that there were several pots of purple flowers placed in the corners of the tent. They looked very beautiful. The people of Gui Yuan sect had moved them here to decorate the tent. If it is only the dream dew flower, there is indeed nothing wrong with it, because this flower does not have any benefits for the human body. The problem is that this flower has a special characteristic. If it is fused with the swift grass, it can fuse into a colorless and odorless poisonous gas. Corinne solemnly said, this poisonous gas is very frightening. If a martial artist smells it, they will be in a period of weakness for a day. Their magic power will completely disappear, and they will be even more fragile than an ordinary person. This is a relatively taboo poison in the universe. What? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. You mean the people of Gui Yuan sect are poisoning us? There is no doubt, Corinne said with certainty. This food definitely contains the swift grass. It can also be used as a seasoning and as a food concoction. This is the method of an assassin. In the universe, there was an outstanding and famous assassin organization. They used this method to kill who knows how many experts. Chapter 1156. But the people around us don't seem to have any reaction. Xiaoping looked around. The people around him were all eating happily, and there seemed to be no signs of poisoning. This poison doesn't take effect immediately. The incubation period is half a day. It will slowly spread to the whole body, and there will be no abnormalities during this period. It will be too late when it fully takes effect. Corinne said. Half a day. Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. In other words, the Gui Yuan sect has long planned this. They don't want to share the soul stones in the mine with us. After using us to kill the group of Blood Soul Continent natives, they want to use this method to kill us all. Are they trying to do evil? They have a big appetite. He understood the plan of the Gui Yuan sect and the others. They were indeed ruthless. Of course they have a big appetite. Corinne sneered. Soul stones are also very precious ores in the universe. They can enhance soul energy. Who knows how many warriors want to get them? They can be sold at a sky-high price in the universe. It can be said that if we get this soul stone mine, it is equivalent to getting rich overnight. Think about it carefully. If it were you, would you be so stupid as to hand over this mine to someone else? This is impossible. How can sharing with others be better than monopolizing it? I think you should expose the conspiracy of the Gui Yuan sect now. We must not let them succeed. It gave its suggestion to Xiaoping. No hurry. Xiaoping smiled. They want to do evil. Why don't we do the opposite? I am actually very interested in monopolizing it. What? What do you want to do? Corinne couldn't help but shiver. It didn't know why it felt that this guy was worse and more sinister than the group of people from the Gui Yuan sect. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Let's see who will have the last laugh. Xiaoping clenched his fists. The Gui Yuan sect wanted to use them, but he also wanted to use the Gui Yuan sect to help get rid of the group of Blood Soul Continent natives. After all, if he wanted to get the soul stones in the soul stone mine, he first had to deal with the group of natives. There were divine power realm cultivators among them. Of course, a few divine ability realm cultivators weren't much. What they were afraid of was that they would call their friends. If they completely alarmed Soul Palace, they would probably encounter big trouble. At that time, they would definitely be surrounded. If the people from the Gui Yuan sect were to help, they would be able to get rid of this group of people in the blink of an eye. They would not give the natives a chance to call for help. As for the life and death of the disciples of the Five Elements sect and the Lingyun sect, it had nothing to do with him. Just now, when he was in trouble, this group of people wanted to hit him when he was down. So he had no reason to remind them. Of course, Chang Xian and the others were not bad. With his current strength, it would not be difficult for him to save their lives. For now, he would pretend not to know anything to avoid alerting the enemy. Brother Wu. Suddenly, Chen Wei appeared in front of Xiaoping. His face was as warm as a spring breeze. Look at your troubled expression. Are you dissatisfied with the food I prepared? Why aren't you eating? Damn it, this guy actually came. What a despicable and insidious guy. He must be here to monitor the people who didn't eat the food here, to prevent any fish from escaping the net. He wants to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Corinne immediately shouted, Xiaoping, you must not eat the food here. Otherwise, you will definitely be poisoned. At that time, it will be very difficult to get rid of the poison. You can only fall out with this guy in this place. Corinne promptly reminded. Xiaoping slightly smiled. No, how can I not be satisfied with this kind of food? I was just thinking about something, that's all. After saying that, he picked up a piece of meat and ate it. It's over. Corinne was burning with anxiety. He was very anxious. He had clearly told this guy that it was absolutely impossible. Why did he still foolishly step into this fatal trap? Isn't he stupid? So that's how it is. Then, I won't disturb you. Brother Wu, you can eat slowly. Seeing Xiaoping eat, Chen Wei's smile became even more brilliant. Obviously, he was very satisfied. Then he went to greet everyone at the table and invited everyone to eat. It seemed that after seeing everyone eat the vicious beast meat, he finally felt relieved and left. Of course, this enthusiastic attitude of his seemed to others to be hospitable and liked to make friends. It was not because he had ulterior motives. Everyone was very happy. Xiaoping, are you stupid? Didn't I just tell you that this kind of vicious beast meat can't be eaten? Once you eat it, it will be impossible to detoxify the poison. Corinne said, you should take advantage of the fact that the poison has not flared up and quickly run away. It's all right. This kind of poison is nothing to me. I have a physique that is immune to poison. Xiaoping indifferently said, after swallowing the vicious beast meat into his stomach. His voice had just fallen when a red flame rose up in his stomach. The raging flame burned, and everything turned into a mass of energy, fusing into his limbs and bones. Those unwanted impurities passed through his countless pores and turned into gas, which was released without a trace. Any poison that wanted to enter Xiaoping's body would be burned cleanly and couldn't harm him at all. Especially after awakening the infernal golden crow's stomach, his resistance to poison has become even stronger. However, this can only resist most of the poisons. It still can't resist some of the more terrifying special poisons. When he awakens the infernal golden crow's kidney, he will be able to truly detoxify all the poisons in the world. Immune to poison? The corner of Corinne's mouth twitched. He was shocked. He didn't expect Xiaoping to have such a physique. No wonder he dared to eat it. It turns out that he is not afraid of these poisons. However, having such a physique is a great advantage in the universe. After all, there are countless poisons in the depths of the universe. If one is not careful, they will be poisoned and die without knowing how. Every year, many powerful martial artists were accidentally poisoned by special poisons and died a violent death just like that. I'm really looking forward to what kind of tricks they will play tomorrow. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and looked at Chen Wei and the others who had already left the tent. At this moment, Chen Wei and the others quickly left the tent where everyone was gathered and came to a hidden cave a few miles away. This was the temporary place where many Gui Yuan sect disciples gathered. Just now, the Divine Power Realm cultivator Fan Ming was also here. Chen Wei, what did you mean just now? Seeing Chen Wei, Fan Ming immediately made things difficult. That bitch Wu Wudi is so arrogant. She killed junior brother Feng Zhu in front of so many people. But you don't even dare to fart. Are you even a member of our Gui Yuan sect? Don't tell me you have a shady relationship with that Wu Wudi? Fan Ming shivered, feeling a bone-piercing chill. Even though he and Chen Wei were fellow disciples of the same sect, he still feared Chen Wei from the bottom of his heart. If Chen Wei really wanted to kill him, it would be a piece of cake. Fan Ming immediately lowered his head, not daring to go against Chen Wei. Very well, let's wait for tomorrow then. Chen Wei nodded, satisfied. The night passed uneventfully. The next day, Xiaoping and the rest woke up and set off for the Soul Stone mine. Not long after, they finally arrived at the outskirts of the Soul Stone mine. From afar, they immediately noticed that there were many soldiers stationed around the Soul Stone mine. They were densely packed and were distributed in every corner of the mine. Vaguely, they could sense the aura of divine realm cultivators coming from the depths of the mine. They were lurking in the dark, as though there was a terrifying beast hibernating in the dark, waiting for the enemy to come knocking before giving them a fatal blow. That's right. This is the Soul Stone mine. I can clearly sense the dense aura of the soul stones. The security is indeed tight. If it were just us, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to break into the mine. There are divine realm cultivators here too. If we force our way in, we will definitely suffer heavy casualties. That's right. After all, these native divine realm cultivators are too terrifying. They are proficient in the secret arts of the mind. Once they use them, we might be killed without a trace. Everyone discussed among themselves, lowering their voices and breathing. Their faces were filled with excitement, because the soul stone mine was right in front of them. The mission was imminent. Who wouldn't be excited? Xiaoping was expressionless. He stayed in the crowd and didn't say anything, keeping a low profile. Everyone. At this moment, Chen Wei stood up and said, "The plan is about to begin. I will go and release the red mist now. Once I knock out all the natives, you guys can attack and kill all the poison natives." "Senior brother Chen, isn't this too risky?" A Gutyuan sect disciple immediately jumped out and said, "You were the one who suggested this plan, but you are also the one who will do the most dangerous thing. If the natives discover your tracks, I'm afraid you will be surrounded and attacked by many of them. When that happens, you will definitely suffer great injuries. You might even die." Xiaoping could tell that this Gutyuan sect disciple was just a supporting actor. He was trying his best to make Chen Wei look tall and mighty. "Sai, you can't say that. If I don't go to hell, who will?" Chen Wei put on a righteous expression. "I was the one who suggested this plan, so I should be the one to face the greatest danger. Otherwise, I'm not fit to be the leader of this operation. In any case, I won't say anything unnecessary. Let's begin the plan. You guys coming here as soon as possible is already the greatest help to me, Chen Wei." Hearing these words, everyone was moved to tears. This Chen Wei was indeed a righteous person. Normally, when a leader was in danger, his subordinates would go first, and the leader would bring up the rear. However, Chen Wei went first and let his subordinates bring up the rear. If this wasn't righteousness, then what was? Now they no longer had any doubts. All they felt was gratitude towards Chen Wei. He's a talent. Xiaoping was also secretly impressed. If they hadn't met him, this group of people probably wouldn't even know how they died, being played around in circles by others. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Wei immediately made his move. He silently disappeared from where he was and entered the soul stone mine. Boom! Not long after, Xiaoping and the others heard a shocking explosion coming from the depths of the soul stone mine. Following that, a large amount of red mist spread out from the depths of the soul stone mine. In just a few breaths' time, the red mist had already filled the entire area. After that, they heard the sounds of fighting, the sound of bodies falling to the ground, the sound of swords clashing, and the wails of dying people. Chapter 1158. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Chang Xian and the rest moved immediately. All of them were as agile as monkeys. Without a sound, they instantly entered the soul stone mine, wanting to finish off the unconscious aborigines on the ground. At this moment, the red mist dissipated quickly, revealing its original appearance. That's strange. Where are those aborigines? Where did they go? However, when Chang Xian and the rest charged in, they discovered a strange phenomenon. There were no unconscious figures on the ground. It was as if it was a ghost town. They instinctively felt that something was wrong. The scene in front of them was beyond their expectations. They shouldn't be able to move after being hit by the red mist. Where are those aborigines? Could they have been killed by senior brother Chen Wei? No, even if they were killed, their corpses should have been left behind. It's indeed strange. We clearly saw many aborigines guards just now, but now they've all disappeared. Everyone discussed and looked around cautiously. They felt that the situation was different from what they had imagined. All of them were on high alert. At this moment, there was an ear-piercing sound in the surroundings, as well as orderly footsteps. In the next second, figures appeared in the surroundings, instantly surrounding Chang Xian and the rest. The people surrounding them were the aborigines they had seen just now. How is this possible? Why are these aborigines unharmed? Chang Xian and the rest were shocked. They simply could not believe their eyes. This was truly unbelievable. Under the red mist, even golden elixir realm cultivators would be unconscious. With the strength of these aborigines, they would not be able to escape the effects of the poisonous mist no matter what. The problem was what was going on. Not only were these aborigines not dead, but they had also taken the opportunity to surround them completely. They had fallen into an ambush from all sides. Haha, foolish demons. You've been tricked. At this moment, a bald middle-aged man who was 1.9 meters tall walked out. He looked at Chang Xian, and the rest with a proud expression. His eyes were filled with ferocity. What? Lu Rulan was shocked, because she immediately recognized the bald, middle-aged man's true identity. Even if he turned into ashes, she would still recognize him. He was Huining City's Soul Palace Master Zhua Hao. She didn't expect to meet Zhua Hao again so soon, and under such circumstances. Brother Chen, I didn't think that you would really be a man of your word. You really brought these outer realm fiends over to their deaths. I am very satisfied with this deal. The bald middle-aged man snickered. Brother Zhua Hao, it's good that you're satisfied. Integrity is a basic character of a businessman. Isn't our cooperation built on integrity? At this moment, a young man walked out and smiled. Qinwei, what's going on? Why aren't they dead yet? Chang Xian and the others saw that Zhua Hao, who had just entered the soul stone vein, was standing beside these aborigines. It seemed like the relationship between the two sides was very good, and there was no sense of enmity between the aborigines and the universe's martial artists. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. They felt that this was too absurd. Since when did the natives of the Blood Soul continent become so friendly to the warriors of the universe? It was simply unimaginable. Do you even need to ask? Xia Ping said faintly. Qinwei obviously betrayed us and colluded with these aborigines. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He felt that he had underestimated Qinwei. From the beginning, Qinwei's target was probably them, and he had already colluded with these aborigines. Betrayed us? Qinwei, have you lost your mind? Do you know who you are? You actually collaborated with the aborigines? If this matter is exposed, there will be no place for you in the universe. Why did you do this? What benefits did those aborigines give you? Chang Xian and the others shouted angrily. They weren't fools. Based on the situation in front of them, it was obvious that Qinwei had betrayed them and colluded with these aborigines. Benefits? Do you think that I would do such a thing without enough benefits? Qinwei smiled faintly. There's no harm in telling you this. The Gui Yuan sect has already discussed with our friends from the soul race. If we use your lives in exchange, 2/3 of the soul stones in the soul stone vein will belong to us. Tell me, how can I not agree to such benefits? He had already discussed the conditions with Zhua Hao and the others. Lu Rulan immediately understood why Zhua Hao wanted to do this. To the Soul Palace, the lives of the extraterrestrial demons were more important than the soul stones. If anyone could kill an extraterrestrial demon, they would receive great rewards, and even an extremely high status. It was even possible for them to be promoted to the Soul Palace's elder. Compared to the Soul Palace's status and rewards, the soul stones in a small soul stone vein were nothing. Of course, they were willing to cooperate with Qinwei and the others. Zhua Hao and the others wanted the lives of Chang Xian and the other extraterrestrial demons, while Qinwei and the others needed the soul stones. Everyone agreed on this matter, and took what they needed. Qinwei, have you gone mad? These aboriginals are all despicable bastards. Once they kill us, they will turn around and kill you all as well. At that time, all of your efforts will be in vain. You won't have a good ending either. Chang Xian and the others shouted furiously as they glared at Qinwei. Don't worry about that. Qinwei was calm and composed. I've already signed a mental contract with them. If anyone dares to violate the contract, their soul will be shattered on the spot, and they will die without a complete corpse. With a mental contract, no one dares to violate it. He had already made preparations. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to cooperate with the soul race. The soul race naturally did the same. Mental contract. Lu Rulan's expression was solemn. Even in the Blood Soul mainland, a mental contract was an extremely precious rune scroll. It was a mysterious rune passed down from ancient times. Once the content of the contract was signed, both parties' souls would be bound together. If anyone violated the contract, their soul would immediately be destroyed. No one could save them. In order to annihilate these extraterrestrial demons, Zhua Hao had clearly put in a lot of effort. Damn it, Qinwei has already sold his soul to the devil. He's no longer on our side. Don't think that you're so great just because you're working together with the aborigines. We still have over 100 people. You won't have a good ending. Go kill Qinwei and the aborigines. Chang Xian and the others were extremely angry. Although they had been ambushed by the soul race, they still had their strength. If they fought to the death, it was still unknown who would win. All of them wanted to rush forward and kill Chen Wei. You still want to kill me? It's too late. Looking at the time, the drug should be taking effect by now. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.